This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
BooBaes.
Hi,
Hello, and welcome to
BooBaes.
BooBaes. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we have a guest with us.
Ooh.
Hey,
This is Thurman.
I'm Thurman.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm
I wish we had like little claps in the pause. Someone edit that in, please.
Yeah. Put that in afterwards. That would be cool. We'll see if that happens.
But yeah, hi Thurman. Welcome
Hey.
to the podcast.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, unofficial BooBae.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So if you don't know me, you most likely don't. I am I'm a musician in the band The Fox and the Crow. I sing and I play, and anyway, reached out to these guys because I like their podcast.
Nice.
We like you. Yeah.
So are you the lead singer?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I've
What-
kind of figured you gave lead singer energy,
you do.
but I wasn't sure.
Also, what do you play in the band?
I play acoustic guitar and I write the lyrics and
Okay.
stuff. It's kind of just it's me and my head being exposed to everyone and my bandmates just kind of join in for the ride and make it sound good.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Nice. They
It's
get
good.
the vision
Yeah.
and they help you bring it to life.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
really
Nice.
cool.
That is really cool.
That's beautiful.
Josh makes music himself.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
I haven't in a while.
He made our
Um,
theme song.
I did make her
Oh,
theme song.
sweet. That's
Um,
awesome.
But I've really been wanting to get back into it.
Yeah, do it, man.
It's really music's been in my whole life. Like my
Yeah.
dad's a musician. He just had a gig this past weekend
Oh, yeah?
doing stuff. He's 75 and he's still
Heck
like
yeah.
That's
rocking
cool.
and
I didn't know
rolling.
your dad was a musician.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where
yeah.
have I been?
Yeah.
Not at his shows.
I guess not.
Yeah.
Aw.
No, well, I wasn't either, unfortunately. I didn't even know he had a
man.
gig. Yeah. We
Yeah.
was calling my mom called me and I was asking her, hey, what's dad doing? Oh, he's playing somewhere. And she didn't. I was like, oh, where's he playing? She was like, I don't know. He just told me he had one. He left. So yeah.
Uh-huh.
He was
But
like,
that's what he does.
bye.
Yeah, that's what he does. He has his friends, and he was at one point like in 3 different bands. He's a bassist, and
Oh, there you
he
go.
dabbles in a
Oh,
little bit of
nice.
everything. He can like pick. He's like one of those people who can just like he's ear by ear, so he can
Mhm.
just pick it up whatever
Oh,
you
yeah.
throw at him. And so yeah, that's what he does. And so yeah, he
That's really
he
cool.
should be out there rocking and rolling.
That's
It's in your
exciting.
blood.
Mhm.
I love it.
You know what else is in our blood? Horror
Horror.
and
Terror.
ties in because we have family ties in this movie today.
Yes, we do.
Mhm. Well,
Um,
kind of centered around what was even their last name, to be honest? I don't know.
No clue.
No clue.
I just
We got-
have Kaylee and
Timbo.
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 I never even really cared too much to like pay attention to mom and dad's name. I just wrote mom and dad, whole movie. As we see in my first notes, child, gun, dad, opening us up. But we're following, is a supernatural film, directed by Mike Flanagan.
Yes.
Who we are very familiar with because he's like exploded and creating so many new horror movies and shows for us here, like
After
The
Haunting of Hill House.
House of Usher, Midnight Mass. He directed Doctor Sleep, the Ouija movie. Have y'all seen Hush? By the way?
I've seen Hush.
That's a pretty good
Kate
one.
With Kate
Siegel.
Siegel as
Mhm.
well. Kate Siegel's in this, and she's also married to Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
So that's fun. And let's
I've
see,
heard
we're
you-
also we're doing Oculus. If
Yeah.
you didn't read the title of the episode, from 2013, but starring Karen Gillan from Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I know her from first and foremost. But she's also in some Marvel movies.
Oh yeah, for sure. She plays Nebula
Yeah, Nebula.
in those, and she's also in the newer Jumanji movies.
Oh, that's where
yeah.
I knew her from.
Yeah, she's in those. So she's kind of like, she's like that face that you're like, you almost like, she's not like a big name, but like you're like, I've seen her. Like I know I've seen
She's
you in
been
something.
in lots.
Yeah,
she
she's
has been in lots.
It's kind of like I was watching something the other day. It came out in like 2014 1 or something, and Sarah Paulson was in it, and she's like looking really like young and like, you know, like I was like, is that Sarah Paulson? And I was like, dang, like, man, you don't realize how long these people like actually are, you know, been at it at their craft before they, you know,
they
take
blow
off,
up and stuff,
and you think it's just overnight, but no, they've been having like chicken shit rolls on like a sitcom. It was like a little sitcom, and it was like 5 minutes, and that was it. She played someone's sister.
Nice.
It's a grind
for sure.
But
I'm glad she stuck to it.
It paid off for her.
The killer's escaping.
We've got Katie Sackhoff.
Yes.
Brenton Thwaites.
That's the dude who plays Timbo.
And there's other people in there too, but I stopped after Kate Siegel.
It takes a village. It takes a village to make a movie.
Did y'all notice
it actually has a really small cast. There's not too many like much major other roles. Than like the, you know, like the boyfriend, fiance, and then the police officers and stuff. But sorry, you were about to say.
Yeah. Did y'all notice that the young versions of the characters, the redheaded girl, was it Kaylee? What was the name?
Kaylee was her name. Yeah.
So she was on New Girl. I was trying to to rack my brain. Where's that young girl from? And it was from New Girl.
I recognize the boy.
Like some small, you know, offshoot one thing.
Yeah.
Cool. I've only watched New Girl through like season 3.
I've seen a few of it. I know it's really popular. The young,
I liked it.
The kid actor who played young Tim, he's actually in Insidious Chapter 2. He plays young Josh. And then he's in Good Luck Charlie. I don't know. It's like it was a show on Disney Channel.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty popular for a while with Bridget Mendler. I don't know if you know who she is. But he played like a little sibling too on that. So yeah, it's really funny when you recognize people from roles like that. I hope they're still acting, getting roles somewhere. I don't know. I didn't recognize that little girl from anything, but she was a pretty good actress.
I think I just recognized her from this movie because I had seen this movie before.
Which I have too, actually. Have you seen this movie a bit?
I hadn't seen this one. I've seen most Mike Flanagan stuff. Really have enjoyed his Netflix stuff recently. But
good.
So. Yeah, you kind of see this trajectory of Mike Flanagan where it's kind of like where he's finding his footing, then he started making really good stuff.
It definitely did have like Mike Flanagan vibes when I rewatched it, and like after having watched Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor and everything, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely Mike Flanagan.
Yeah,
and I personally like it, but
you didn't like it?
No, I do like it.
Oh, you do like it? Yeah. I thought I didn't realize that it was Mike Flanagan, and then when I saw Marisol, and I was like, oh, that's Katie Siegel, or Kate Siegel. I was like, whoa, okay. So then it all made sense, and now that you're saying that too, like the style of even like how the ghosts were appearing, and then they would like, it's very very much that.
Yeah, he's got a style, and he sticks to it. He knows what he's good at,
and he's crafted it well.
Yeah, exactly. This is a Blumhouse production and a WWE production.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, what the fuck?
That was my very first note was WWE
yeah,
studio.
That's like, mine too. I was like, question mark, question mark, question mark. What the hell? I
wonder what other movies they've been able to produce.
Yeah, I know.
That begs the question. And why or how?
There was a like smackdown in the middle when he takes the mom down.
He has to chokehold her.
He had chokehold her out. Yeah, I was like,
per request of WWE, there had to be like, one chokehold in the movie.
That's the only part that they advised on.
That was lit. They were like, we have to have one wrestling move in the movie, please. And well, they worked it in well.
They did. It was very seamless.
Very terrifying scene as well. For anybody in that situation, especially the way the mom was moving, very more animalistic like and that's just like coming at you.
Oh yeah.
Didn't we just watch a movie? Oh no, I watched a movie. I'm sorry, I watched Smile 2 over the weekend as well.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully we'll get to cover that soon because I thought it was really good, and we've covered Smile 1, so go listen to that episode, you guys. But there was a lot of moments in that movie where it was like you don't see something, but you hear like the running after you.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's spooky.
Yeah.
I like that.
Definitely was like kept me on the edge of my seat. But let's get into Oculus, right? We want to dive in.
Yeah, we get a simple title card as we get some ominous music that's happening. and we get, okay, I will say my notes the whole time I was writing this, like they kept autocorrecting to weird things, or like I couldn't write properly.
I think it's our iPhones.
I think the movie.
The
movie cursed me.
It's working through it. You're seeing things not as they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I will say too. Mine are actually just, if y'all look, like mine are very more kind of one worded for this for the most part. But because it just depends on the movie. Some movies I'm like got paragraphs for like one scene, and then some movies it's like the one word can just, but this movie also was moving at a pace sometimes it was so fast.
Yeah.
And between the then and the now, that at times
I was flashes like, between their childhood
like,
and then them in adulthood quite frequently.
Yes.
And then time starts slipping and overlapping.
They bleed together.
Mm-hmm. And again, it begs that question of like, what is time? And is time linear? And I think they were slipping either through some sort of state of psychosis or what the mirror was making them see. But then they were like seeing each other. The other was an adult while the other was seeing like a child.
Yeah.
And stuff like, so ghosts of themselves / seeing the events play out in real time again, or what, like it just was, and it very much made me think of like Haunting of Bly Manor in that sense.
It really probably leaves it up to our interpretation, which I feel like
Bly Manor's the one that's all about time and love, right? And it's basically more like a love story.
It's a love story, a ghost love.
And Kate Siegel plays the Lady of the Lake.
Yes,
in it. Okay, it's been, I haven't watched it since it came out, so all I know is that I have the same fireplace cover that they had in that house. That I paused it and I was like, oh my God, I have that.
You would have it.
Same with the clown from House of a Thousand Corpses. I have one of the clowns, my clown piggy bank.
Oh,
that like puts, you put the coin in his hand and then he brings it up to his mouth.
Have we covered that?
No, we haven't.
No, I was like, I don't think I've seen that. Like, what?
It's
House
good.
of a Thousand Corpses? Is it a zombie movie?
Yes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's a Rob Zombie movie.
Oh, okay, not
a zombie
movie. Got it. Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up because I'd be really disappointed. I'm like, where are the fucking zombies?
There are zero zombies.
Zero zombies in the zombie movie. This movie definitely. I was confused at times a bit, and then also I think it's up to our interpretation because it's like, is it like a slip of psychosis where they're not really seeing? It's just like what they remember what they saw and they're just remembering it, but we as the audience are seeing it that way.
Yeah.
Or are they actually like seeing figments of themselves? Like it was weird. Almost gives Insidious vibes too, when they like see themselves in the past, but they're in the future. But it was them, and they created the chain of events really the whole time kind of situation.
Yeah. And to kind of break beyond the fourth wall a little bit, I thought, because I had all these same thoughts going on. And I was thinking, well, maybe it's just like an artistic thing, and they're just drawing those similarities, and they're wanting you to see that as the
That's what I was kind of thinking.
But I like the idea of reality and things being warped,
and well, I mean, we are messing with the supernatural, demonic
entity,
mirror.
Mirror that
it could probably
definitely collects souls over time, because all the souls that come up in the end are like all the people that she names in the beginning
that have been trapped.
Because Marisol was one that she definitely like pointed out, and she showed up in that same version with the blood like from hemorrhaging and stuff like that on her gown. But I don't know. I think the mirror was manipulating their sense of reality.
Yeah.
And I think that we were seeing what they were seeing in my mind. But it could have also just been that, the movie wanted us to see that. But it seemed like they were interacting enough with their younger selves to, and then I think the mirror was just major mindfuck.
It really was. And it's just like, unfortunately for anybody, because it's a proximity curse situation, because it's just whoever comes in contact with it, you're just kind of like, well, now you're in my trap, and you're gonna get fucked up. Because to me, the movie, it's like they really have no shot. It's really kind of sister's fault because she never got over it, and like they were free technically, but she went back to it, But
I think but who's to say
that the mirror never even like it was still luring her in from all that time, it was still latched to her like a parasite, but they never stood a chance. Like they never stood a chance because way it works, like you couldn't tell. And then also I just from the beginning I was like, why don't we just like let the kill switch go already?
Well,
like,
we're not being manipulated.
Yeah, but the mirror works so well at tricking them.
This was a hard movie not to fall into solution finding.
Right? Yeah. And like the obvious answers are here, but then it's like, well, we still gotta have to have a movie.
Yeah.
We still got 45 minutes left.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, the movie starts off with one of the flash of the kind of the main. What is that called? The climax of what's happening with them when we get to the end of it. Kind of starts at the end, at the beginning.
Yeah.
With the Kaylee character seeing through a crack in the door and seeing her dad with a gun. And so obviously from the jump, we're getting something like something's not right in this home. There's a child, a gun, and a dad.
It reminded me very much of Amityville Horror in this instance with, the kids hiding from a guy with a gun that we figure out is their dad, and some sort of evil entity too. You can kind of, I feel like there was a flash of one or something, or maybe like the dad's eyes were glowing or something,
right?
A little,
or maybe I was just remembering from the last time I had watched it. But I was like, this dad's not right.
Something's going off
from the get. But then everything happens and then it goes to shoot the gun. But then we see this time it's Tim holding the gun, adult Tim. And then we find out it was all a dream.
It was all just a dream. Yeah, it was just a dream. He is talking to his doctor, right? In the mental institution because...
Yeah, it's some sort of psych evaluation going on.
Come to find out that Tim, unfortunately, had to be taken away this whole time and was just being healed, doctored, medicated, and trying to get over through this trauma because we come to find out that he was basically blamed for everything. And Tim really gets like the crappy end of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Tim.
That was the...
I was shocked that
so
they
sad.
even...
It breaks your heart for
like,
him.
At the end and stuff, whenever like it's overlapping with what happened the first time and stuff, I'm like, y'all are arresting like an 8-year-old child.
Yeah.
like
immediately.
Well, because the child's saying the mirror made me shoot my dad.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But I still would have been like I feel like they should have at least heard him out before just like hauling him off. Yeah. And been like, Kaylee could have said our dad was trying to shoot us.
Yeah.
Or something. And then maybe they would have been like, oh, this was self-defense. Maybe he doesn't need to be locked away and stuff like that. But
justice sometimes is served swiftly and not thoughtfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's a really deep thought for the end of this movie.
Yeah.
And they needed him to be arrested and put into this psych evaluation for us to see the logical standpoint in this movie because Tim very much is the voice of reason.
He's us. He's the audience.
Out all the first half of the movie until his reality starts getting warped too. And then it throws you into this like kind of almost Shutter Island situation where you like know where you get to the end of the movie and you're like, I still don't quite know what happened. Like what was real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you question everything. It makes you question like what even they were thinking was real or not. And then their motives. Because even like when we get to the point where she, chops off or hacks her Michael, it's like I thought even too for a minute. I was like, no way, like there's no way, no, it is not real. But then it was real. But then it's not real, and then it was real. You know what I mean? It
was real. Yeah.
Like we go through those emotions also with them too, which is pretty good as for them to make us go through that. But he's talking to the doctor. We're getting to find out he's been there, but he's going to be released, and his sister is going to pick him up. And we cut to her, and she is at the auction already, right?
Yeah. She's at the auction where she's overseeing this auction of what we come to learn is the Lasser glass. And so it's basically been around for centuries, and it is from like at least the 1700s or something.
It's pretty old.
And it was originally in like some Scottish household and
like some king or something. Where was it? Some czar?
Yeah,
it was
some higher up guy.
Yes.
And the bidding, they say, will start it at a modest $10,000. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of money for a giant ass mirror. But it was the original mirror still intact, and it had some natural hazing that was happening to it, which was really beautiful. It was a gorgeous mirror. Like I was sitting there thinking, like,
that's an ornate mirror.
Oh damn, I would have this in my house.
I'd buy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I came across that and it wasn't $10,000, I would be like,
$60
that's coming home with me.
$60.
And then it made me think about this one time. I stopped in a little town in between here and Houston, in between Waco and Houston, and I stopped at this antique store.
That's such a big span. I'm sorry. That's such a big span of like space.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, I forgot the name of the little town. It's either Marlin or not Marlin, because that one's closer to here, right?
Yeah,
only
it's
like
way
30
closer.
minutes.
Okay,
it's
yeah,
only like
not
30
Marlin.
minutes.
Make it
Yeah.
very far if you stop there.
It's one of the ones before.
I love you, Caitlin, because it's like I stopped in a small town somewhere between the east states and the west states.
Well, I mean, there's not many towns in between, like
Waco and Houston.
It's a bunch of just farmland, and so like little downtown towns that you pass through. You
So, like,
pass
some
through,
random
like
little-
3,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Is it giving Leatherface town?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Solid.
But it's one where I stopped in an antique store that was going out of business. And the lady was like, there was this giant mirror, like probably 4 feet tall, 2 feet wide, 2.5 feet wide mirror. And she was like, you can have it for $30. And I was like,
Sold.
backing my car up right now. Like, this mirror is mine.
Does
Put
it
it in
alter
my
reality?
tiny
She
little
was
Prius.
trying to get rid of that way too fast.
I know. Exactly. And it made me think about that. And then I was like, has anything bad happened since I've got this antique mirror? And I mean, no, but.
Is it a mirror that you look in often, or is it somewhere?
Well, right now it's in storage at the store because it's so large that I can't mount it.
Oh, okay. It has to
I
lean.
need like, yeah, it's
See,
a
that saved
lean
you.
mirror
You'd be
because
dead.
it's like, it's heavy.
Wherever you have it at in storage is like black mold growing around
It. I know. I was like, oh my God.
It's leaching out.
Is it like cursing the areas that I bring it to? Like, I don't know.
Take it to an enemy's house.
But I don't want to part with it.
Oh God, it's so cute.
That's a
So-
good sign.
That's why you let them take on the curse
It's a
of
beautiful
it, and then you
ornate
go
mirror
pick it up
too,
at the
with like
end.
a big gold frame, and it's very ornate.
does
And
sound
so
gorgeous.
it's really cool. And for $30, I was like, what the heck? You never find
Yeah.
mirrors for that cheap.
is like
Mirrors are expensive.
no, they are
Not
yeah.
$10,000 expensive.
No, but even just regular, like if you go to like Home Goods or wherever, like they're already not at like a
yeah, unless you're buying like a door mirror from Walmart that costs $12 or
and
something.
they're like they break you.
they shatter so
Yeah.
fast. I've had
Um,
many fall off.
They're
the
so
door.
flimsy. But yes, we have Kaylee picking up brother, and they're getting to reunite and kind of, go over essentially like he's starting life over. She's like, we got you an apartment. This is where you can stay. Although she's like, I wish you would stay with me and my, fiance. They're fiancés, right?
Yeah.
Fiance Michael. But he really kind of wants to do things on his own and figure things out for himself since he's, kind of he's got a new lease on life.
Yeah, and he's never really been on his own either.
He's been kept at that hospital the whole time, or I'm assuming he has, and just really been fostered in a way that he's really just kind of just like almost like a baby. He's literally like a baby just getting pulled out into the world. Like, here you go.
Here you go.
Good luck. Don't lose it.
Pat him on the back.
And
Pack him a sack lunch.
they're talking over lunch and all that stuff. Is this where she's like, I found it? She's telling him, I found the mirror.
Yeah, she says, I found it. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And then she's like, don't you remember? Like, we have to keep our promise and kill it. And so she doesn't well, she does say that, like, I found it, it's in my control at the auction house. So you can gather that it's probably the mirror she's talking about, but I don't know if she ever explicitly says like the mirror.
She doesn't.
But yeah.
She doesn't have to. And he knows.
He knows, yeah. And he's like, blah. Then I think that's part of the reason why he's like, I think I'd rather stay
at my own place,
this hotel room for now instead of with you, because whatever you're doing is going to get me into trouble and backtrack me years.
Yeah, Timbo should have trusted his gut. I was feeling that. Actually, like my first thought whenever I saw the sister and like how they're going to interact was like, she's an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, why is she bringing him into
brash.
this?
Very much so. Because it is. It's like he spent years trying to get over this trauma.
Let's go right back to it.
And let's literally take you right to the house, take you into the mirror, like
immediately.
Test it all and see how strong you really are. And we get in a flashback to 11 years prior. And this is where we kind of officially get to like see like how it all started when they were moving into the house.
Yeah, we get to see the mirror moving in. It's very hectic, but it looks fun. Everything's light and airy still. Like
the mom looks so sweet and like happy,
and definitely
relatively.
She looks very stressed.
Other than the move,
yeah, as anyone is when moving,
but
and then having children run around. Yeah. She definitely still seems like she's a happy woman. Not as, like you said, as she is later in the film. But yeah, they're just shooting little laser tag guns. And, you know, Dad, we see already that Dad is working lots and not really like helping too much. And Mom's stressed and is like needing his attention, but he can't really give it to her. And so you can get a little bit of maybe some tension, but then they have a sweet moment where they're talking about like when the mirror comes in and she's like,
oh, really? Like, oh, I didn't know you like changed the furniture or whatever. Something like that.
And she was like, were you going to wait till I see the Visa bill?
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, well, I told you I was okay with IKEA, but you wanted all these antiques. And so I got some, and I got you a 3-piece vanity to like smooth everything over. And so that made her lighten up and she was happy. And then he was like, new house, new move. Like, we got to get some new furniture. And she goes, same old wife though, huh? And he was like, I told you I was okay with IKEA.
Yeah, it's definitely building up and playing on kind of tension and tropes that we know. And like, oh, these people have been married for a while. They got kids. They're stressed out. He's working a lot, probably. He's trying to compensate with buying her some new stuff. And she's feeling insecure because all she needs him to really do is just say, baby, I love you. You look beautiful. But he's not doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe there was some infidelity. We don't know why they moved here. We don't know what's going on from the past. Like, you know, so there's definitely a lot of stuff that are kind of layered in there that already gives us like this mirror we know like feeds and harbors off of negative energy, and so they're kind of already coming in with a little bit of it. So the mirror is kind of like, I see that, I'm gonna play on that immediately.
It gets those tiny seeds of doubt, and then it exacerbates them. And
what a word. And then we get like cutting back in and out of you know, the past and the present, and I think she's dropping him off at his hotel place, and he's trying to get him settled in and stuff, and she's trying to explain to him essentially like I love how this whole time too he's very like his face like the whole time he's like, huh? Like, and he's giving her that look, and she's like, I want you to help, and I want you to remember. Don't you remember like that promise you made to me and what we're gonna do?
He's very much like a, you know, newborn, fresh on life, like deer in the headlights. Maybe like I've never experienced.
Or he's playing dumb because he's like, I don't.
Maybe he was just like flabbergasted that this was happening.
Yeah,
like, this is what you wanted to do.
Like, fuck.
Seriously, right out the gate, like.
He can't even
I just got out. Let me like set my bags down before you bring this up.
I was really hoping for like a double cheeseburger or something.
Right. Like, let's go to an amusement park. Let me meet your friends. Oh, no, she doesn't have friends because she's been obsessed with the mirror
the whole time.
which is also we come to see it's like affected her relation, because even with that little talk she has with Michael, obviously it's been affecting her relationship and stuff too. But do we cut back? Are they playing again? Their kids again?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We are with the dad, and he's going downstairs in the middle of the night
with the juice box.
Yeah.
Also
and
weird.
It very much like what just happened to you with your water.
Yeah.
The dad sees a entity there, and he squeezes the juice box and covers himself in his drink.
Yeah.
And
also, but it's unfathomable. No, because the weirder thing to me, and it's just fact police trying to come into a horror movie, is that the juice box was in the fridge already with the straw. Was it like half drunk? Like, I have nieces and nephews. They don't leave those suckers half drunk. They those things they till they're squeezed in.
Well, they have
hands.
like an ounce of liquid in them.
Exactly.
It looked like it was a full amount that came out onto his shirt.
A setup. But anyways, yes, he gets it on him, kind of like how I did. You're right. And then
yours is all dry now though. And it was just water, not juice.
This is first night too, right? Like that mirror, and we learn everything happened within like a 2-week time span, right? But like this is first night, so right off the gate, like the mirror's going to work.
Yeah, and it shows him who we later know to be Marisol, and it's Kate Siegel's character.
I wonder why people had glowing eyes. Like that was that explained and I missed it?
So as I was viewing it, so they weren't so much glowing as they were reflective.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I picked up.
Okay, that makes sense.
They were mirrors themselves.
Yeah. Of all the light, or the light of the life.
Eyes are the mirror or window to the soul.
Yeah. And he goes into the office, and he's kind of like in there, looks at the mirror a bit. And he can tell, like, it's funny too, because I guess it's the mirror's influence, because he doesn't like spook or anything. He's not like, oh my God, I just saw a ghost. He's just kind of like, oh, okay, like, whatever.
He's drawn to the mirror.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, I don't know if the whispering is like exactly started yet, but there's something about this mirror that's like drawing and almost sedating him and or seducing him.
Yeah,
like it does. It's definitely like breaking down his walls and making him feel at ease.
And the way that
but also stressed.
No, at the same time, right? It's anxiety inducing. The way they also kept the shot on that mirror just lingering a little bit longer, so like this mirror, something's wrong with this mirror.
Yeah.
This is gonna cause some problems.
I was expecting something to like show up in the mirror.
Yeah, me too, honestly.
And nothing did in that moment.
Even better.
The
suspense
fakes you out.
And
a little horror edging.
Is it next day and the kids are playing? Because I swear, no. She's having a nightmare. Kaylee's having her nightmare.
Yeah, we're back with adult Kaylee. She hears her dog barking at something, but I don't think she even really has a dog. Unless it's dog who she gets later. But I mean, it's all in her dream. So it's probably, what was the dog's name?
From the childhood?
Yeah.
Bingo. No, I'm just kidding.
It was like Mason.
No, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly.
That's right.
It was Mason. Yes, it was.
Yeah. The dog Mason. So I'm assuming that's who was barking in her dream, though. And she gets up out of bed. She goes down and to the office area where the mirror is, and she opens the door, and like, we don't know that she's like back in her old house.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at first I thought this wasn't a dream.
I thought she was in the actual home as well. But she's
and I thought
like
she
in
was
her
really experiencing it. And that she just had the mirror already.
Yeah. I was also saying, like, why is she living there? Like, what? That's crazy. But
but she goes down. We get this super cool shot from above the mirror as she approaches the mirror. And so, like, all you can see really at first are her feet. And then you can see most of her body and then just her head from, like, the actual perspective. And then it was really cool.
Yeah.
I like that shot a lot. I thought it was neat.
there were quite a few cool shots in this movie. I also liked when like she was hugging her mom through the mirror. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool shot.
Yeah,
I always think about the like the actual logistics that go into filming something like that. If they're doing it practically or if they're doing it.
No, there's so much in there. So much science and so much like maneuvering and illusion, like tricking us into seeing what's not even happening for real.
Yeah. But then something happens at the mirror, right? Because she turns around and her dad is there, chokes her.
Starts choking her, and then it's like, it's a pretty good jump scare. And then she wakes up, obviously, like, you know,
thrashing and screaming in bed.
Yeah.
Which
night terrors, you know.
If you've been in a long-term relationship with a woman, you will know that they do not sleep in clothes like she was wearing. I thought that was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, little nightgown.
I didn't even look at what she was wearing, to be honest.
It was a very like sexy, cute night silk.
That's not a 12-year-old T-shirt.
Yeah. Like boxers or something. Yeah, that's very true. And she has that nightmare and then, you know, needs consoling and stuff. And then, which I've had night terrors before. So like, it was totally believable when she's like flailing and like screaming.
Yeah. Oh, I've had plenty of night terrors too.
Yeah.
Where I've like scared partners and stuff when they're like, what is going on?
Demons attached to this chick. But then
I just signed up for, I know. It's like, it has happened on like,
the first
night before, and they're like, "What did I get into?"
I feel like that triggers it. That's happened to me.
Yeah,
but I feel like it's because you're not used to someone there. Yeah, but we have her. It's the next day, right? She's at work and she's at the storage place wherever they keep this mirror.
Yeah, and her fiance comes up to her at work.
That's right,
and she's explaining to him that she just needs a few more days and then everything's going to go back to normal. But he had confronted her about these like crime scene photos.
Yeah. And was it clear yet that this is her significant other in the movie? Because I was thinking like, why is this guy digging through her crap? But keep going.
They had kissed earlier.
Okay,
at the auction they had kissed. But if you were like writing a note, it happened so fast.
I missed it.
You missed it.
I was like, why is he digging through her stuff? That's a weird boss move.
Like they must be really good friends.
And he was just like, what the hell? Like, why are there these crime scene photos in all of your, like, in your computer and stuff? And it's still very intrusive. But I guess she had accidentally sent them to, like, other people to print off files, and then they were included in there.
Like, in between.
And so, like, some people were like, I'm just trying to print a document, and then all of a sudden they've got someone murdered being printed out, and they're like, what the fuck?
That raises some suspicions, especially I guess if you're looking that up on company time, on the company computer, like what are you doing? They might have a bit of a some, what's it called, they might have reason to check in, but also because it's his girlfriend and he's trying to ask her about it. And I love how like she ignores it, but then he's like, honestly, I'm just still waiting for an answer about the like crime scene photos.
She just like brushes right past. She's like, okay, like goes on to something else. And
she does that really well as like an actress. She does, like, I've seen, she kind of does that in other movies too. Like she's very like able to like I don't know what it is.
Communicate that with her face.
Yeah. Act it out with her face very well.
Be very dismissive
and she, like you said, needs just a few more days and everything will go back to normal. Everything will be fine. She acknowledges that she knows that things have been kind of weird lately. But then he's just kind of like, okay, it's sweet. Cool, babe. I'll see you for dinner. And then we have her going in to check with the mirror with the dude who's like the transporter guy who was overseeing. Yeah.
I guess she works with him a lot because they had some sort of rapport. But she is in there. She uncovers the glass and it's like the mirror and says hello again and kind of starts talking to it.
Like as it's its own entity person situation. Yeah.
And like gets down to where there was the only, like they noted in the auction, the only like flaw or blemish on this mirror was a small crack in the right hand bottom corner. And she's like, I hope this still hurts.
Mm-hmm. It's very like, my precious. The opposite.
I was thinking at this time that she was going to like accidentally cut herself on it and like blood was going to get into it. And but anyway, I was wrong, cool. But I was like,
that would have been a cool element.
You know,
it's like taking a part of her with it as well.
Yeah.
Or it's like ensuring like, nope, I got you now. Like you are mine. We got a blood pact.
Blood pact. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. But this was a very creepy scene because we have some, it ends up being like a bust of the Mona Lisa and then something else.
Like a bust of Michael or something.
Something, I don't know. George Washington, Paul Revere, I don't know. And,
2 busts.
Yeah.
One was a feminine figure and one was a masculine figure.
And but
they're all masked at first.
And there's only 2.
Yeah, there's only 2. Yeah.
But at a certain point, there is a third one in the mirror. And we're like, moves. Yeah, and then it moves. Then they all kind of move, and so she goes to inspect it. And I love how she takes off the other 2. Yeah, because
it was very creepy at first. Because she's looking in the mirror, we see 3, and you don't think anything of it, because it just looks like a sheet ghost, like with the sheet just hanging over what looks like a head. And the third one moves, and then so she looks back behind her in real life, but there's only 2 there. And then she looks back in the reflection again, and then the 3 are back again. And then the other 2 move. Yeah. And so that's when she goes to inspect. And this time when she turns around, the third one's actually there.
Yeah, really
which
creepy.
Was wild.
And when she gets closer and is revealing them, and then like, I don't know if it was just me, it kind of did look like that middle one was kind of like a little small breaths or something were kind of moving. It was like, yeah, it was really scary. I'd be freaked out.
And the way it was taller, wasn't it?
It was taller than the other ones. Yeah, it's like almost like giving like, and I feel like that's even like scarier, like standing high and like right
eye
with
level.
You. Yeah, like if you were to take it off, it'd be looking like directly at you. It could eat your face. And her dude, her friend who's, helping her out at work pops up just in the nick of time and like, is a good jump scare, scares her, scares us, the audience. And then
because she uncovers one, then uncovers the next, and she's just about to reach for the third when Warren is his name approaches, and it's a little jump scare like you said, and she's like, God damn it, Warren. She doesn't say God damn it, but
she's a lady and doesn't say the Lord's name in vain.
No.
And then we see that the mirror, what's it called again? The satin glass? The satin glass. The lasser glass is getting loaded up into her vehicle. I'm assuming it's her vehicle, a transportation vehicle. And then that's whenever we cut to...
It's just wild that she brings it back to the original home.
Also, she
could have done something in a remote controlled location. And
I wonder how she even got the whole house, like how she got, or is
so they explain it a little bit.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Because whenever she gets back in it, I was like, I guess this house just stayed in their name the whole time.
Yeah.
But she said she's explaining to Timbo at one point.
Whenever she's doing the mass explanation of everything.
Yeah, and she's like, the house sat on the market for a little bit. And then she was like, once I graduated high school, I guess with her half of the estate, bought the house.
Okay, got it. I must have missed that.
She was like, I was the only freshman with the house, not living in the dorms of college and stuff.
And then...
because I was very confused by that too. I was like, how do they conveniently still have access to this house?
And then she ends up getting to, she calls Timbo, right? And she's like, I need you to come by the house. And he's like, what house? And she's like, the house. Did I jump too far ahead?
No, but we do have a flashback to their child. Oh yeah, no, you're right. And she says come by to the house.
Yeah. Because then we get that flashback.
And it's again, they're in the childhood, and this is where we first hear the whispering. So Dad is now hearing some whispering from the mirror. And then they're going outside and they're playing with their laser tag guns still.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes and hides in front of the office window. When she looks back, she sees some lady like behind her dad and like feeling him up and stuff. And she's like, what? And then the whole moment gets broken whenever she gets shot with the laser gun and her chest piece starts going like, woo, 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 woo.
I always wanted those when I was a kid. I never got to have one.
Oh, I did have one.
That's fine. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was really good.
Yeah.
They were a lot of fun.
What?
It was either mine or it was a friend's, and I just like stayed at that friend's house a lot.
For an amount of time. Yeah. We always played with them.
Yeah.
They're cool. Did they last long? I feel like you'd have to charge it and you only get like 1 hour out of it.
I feel like I remember them lasting long.
So I got some for my son to play with. And of course, it was partially for me. And because he's 8. And they actually last a really pretty long time.
That's
I
cool.
guess they just don't use a lot of power. So.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember. I was like, maybe we got bored before they could die. Like, there's only so many times you can hide and shoot each other before it's like, okay, let's do something else.
Christmas is coming up soon.
Okay, I'll get you a laser tag set.
a little hint there. Tell Andrew. No, tell Andrew.
Okay.
He'll get me a really nice.
He will.
No. And we are, she's obviously that was a big kind of like perfect timing, scratching head moment for her and seeing her dad in there. And then we are now flashing back to the present day and she's at home setting, getting everything set up. For the experiment. Did Timbo already come in here? Yeah, he's already here.
Yeah, I think he's coming in and she's explaining everything. And then we also did have one little scene of her asking about the woman in the office to the mom.
And the mom's like, what lady in the office? And the dad's like, doesn't even acknowledge it. He's just like,
because they're at the dinner table and he's like biting his nails. And we already see that's why he's going to now have a
little Band-Aid over it.
Later. But yeah, he's bitten so far into his nails that it was bleeding. It was really bad.
Yeah. I used to bite mine like that.
Ouch. And he goes and she's like, Dad, who is that lady in your office today? And then the mom's like, yeah, who was that lady in your office today? Still kind of joking. But also like, what the fuck is she talking about?
Yeah.
And then that's when he finally goes like, what are you talking about? And there's no lady. And but then we're back in the house and she's rigging everything up. She's basically got the whole house rigged to try to like kill the thing.
Yeah.
Or at least protect them in some way. Like each room has thermostats attached to it. And to like, if there's any degree of fluctuation in temperature, they'll know. And
they're setting up like all the timers and she's
got like 5 timers
for everything once. So there's for eating, for water, and then for making sure to, reset that kill switch.
Yeah. With the yacht anchor.
Which I kind of wish they had dived into that a little bit more because they do kind of break down all of the victims later on and like how they died. But I don't know, me wanting more, like, I want to see, like,
more
how
lore.
does it starve them and how does it dehydrate them,
There's a lot of mystery left to it.
I think part of it is that the person becomes, like, so obsessed with the mirror that they forget to do
those things. They lose track of time, right?
Yeah, they lose track of time and they like forget to feed themselves, forget to drink. Like, because one of the deaths, the lady died of dehydration.
But she was in a tub.
But she was in a tub. And then the other deaths were very brutal. But like later on in the movie, we see like that the dad, once the mom is like incapacitated and stuff and chained up, we see like that the dad's not filling the fridge with food and stuff because I think he's like so absorbed in the mirror that he's not thinking about.
He literally is like when he's even in his free time is just there in front of it looking at it.
Yeah, just
like,
staring
he just,
at
like,
it.
Just wants to be around it.
And it's like feeding him, but also like sucking his life force at the same time, I think.
No, I feel
like
I like that. No, that theory
like that
makes sense to me too as well because it is very much like it's needing him and the negativity that he's bringing to it, and also just his life force, but also at the same time, it's like transferring that same energy almost in a way. It's bringing out, it's exacerbating all those negative and bad qualities in him, and like bringing out all the nastiness, and to where like even when he starts talking to the kids, he's like your snot-nosed brother, you know, and he's like he obviously is like not their loving father anymore who cares about them.
And again, very Amityville Horror, like the whispering is telling him to do certain things, and then he would subsequently kill his family. And acting out in ways like whenever he calls her fucking like fat cow or something.
You grotesque
cow.
Because I thought that was an interesting choice of words. It's a mouthful.
That would really get to me
really
though,
thought about
too.
it.
He really marinated on that one, was like, this is gonna break her down. And I would have been like, what? That would have made me like spiral. So
for weeks.
But we get her setting up everything and explaining to Tim what everything is, and he's like, what the fuck is this thing on the ceiling? And she's like, oh, that's a yacht anchor weighted with like 20 more pounds of weight, and we're gonna put the mirror right there, and so that way if anything happens to us, it'll automatically go off and kill the mirror, kind of thing. Which again, logic police, like, why not just do it immediately? Or at least try. And then like see if the mirror like
no, because also who's to beg, like even if they were to let it go and no human being was in front of it, would it even crack it? Would it even break it?
Like it somehow stops right before or something.
Because it obviously we do see later on that mirror has some sort of like, it's able to shoot like a force of wind at the mom later on, you know.
And when they go to smash it with the golf clubs, like
they go like the other way,
sideways, like it's got some sort of force field.
So I guess she was relying, because it's like a mechanism and not a human being, that it wouldn't be able to manipulate it, and that it would just do what it's gonna do. But who's to say? We don't have many like key details or information of the mirror, probably for that fact. Otherwise we'd be like, but the rule book says about the mirror that you know. And so I think they're going over through all that shit, and this whole time he's just kind of like, oh my god, fucking crazy. Like,
I want to go back in the mental asylum.
Literally
deal with some sane people.
He's like, you need help,
because I mean, she later tells him too. She's like, you had to go batshit to get out of there. Because and he's like, she's what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're the batshit
the
one.
whole time. She's like, they really did a number on you, huh?
Like,
damn,
let's go chase this ghost.
They brainwashed you. And then because she sounds crazy, right? Delusional. And then I love how after all that, she's just like, I don't know if a timer goes off or not, but she's like, let's eat. Like, we got to make sure to eat.
A timer does go off. And she, But they set the scene for us too. We get that it's 4:15 p.m. on October 13th. And then this is where she starts going through the deaths. And we get that there have been 45 deaths attached to this mirror in the 3 centuries of existence that it's had.
That's a lot.
And she's going through the history when she gets a phone call. And so we learn that she has told her fiance, Michael, to call every hour to check in on the hour. So that way she can know it's him and stuff like that. Well, she doesn't tell him that part specifically, but she's like, please just try to call, because she was like, you're 7 minutes past. So try to call on the hour next time. And
I guess that's the way that she would know. But even to me, I'm like, her own rules later, where it's like within close
the rules
range,
are out the window.
Like when you're close to the thing, like you don't know who that could be. And even later, she's like 50-50, it's him or not. But like, so like, I don't even, from the get-go, I guess it's just her being extra measures of safety, I guess. But I'm just like, that just seemed like unnecessary, because that just honestly brought Michael into it. And now that's the whole reason why he probably shows up later, because she didn't answer when she missed the call on the hour. You know?
And so he shows up instead of calling the police like she told him to. Because she hangs up the phone and she's like, I told him to call the authorities if anything, like if we don't answer. But she's going through the history. We learn that a lady dies of dehydration, like while in a tub. One lady drowned her children in a cistern, saying that she thought she was just putting them to bed whenever she locked them in the cistern. And then she took a hammer and just like smashed all of her bones to pieces except for her right arm because she needed that arm to wield the hammer. And she's just describing very horrific deaths. Like one person burned alive, right? And like was found like charred to a crisp, and
all very horrific deaths, and all deaths that are like made to not look like suspicious of the mirror, essentially. Like they all died in some other way, or like almost like a natural way or something, a weird way still, but like not caused
freak accidents.
Yeah, very like Final Destination.
Yeah,
you know, where they're just like, well, damn, like yeah.
She also brings up that all these people had dogs as well, and that the dogs were never found.
They get sucked away by the mirror.
Yep, and that's why she brings dog in later.
Concept, yeah. No, it really is.
Because at this point, Mason walks by the door, the old childhood, the golden lab does. And she's like, she watches him and she kind of spaces out for a second. And yeah.
No, yeah. I think would the same thing happen? Like, what if these people had a cat? Like, would the cat get taken? Or is it just like, you know, I only eat dogs.
Just living
only dogs. No.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and then that's also the thing with the plants, right? It's sucking the life force from the plants, and that's why the plants. So maybe anything that's alive, I guess. I don't know. Someone had a hermit crab. Their hermit crab would like be in the.
Hermie's not moving.
Literally, Hermie's like literally demonic hermit crab.
That's funny.
And so then we have Where are we at?
Well, she sees the dog walk past, and then this is where Tim starts being like, maybe you're just fucking crazy.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he's like,
you didn't have a good support system.
Yeah, and our dad was he was hurting and took it, like, he was a sick man and he took it out on us and mom, and like
just had an affair and just decided to, you know, do these things. Like, it's not some mirror that was influencing him, essentially. Really trying to discredit her and discredit, like, well, I mean, and to his own, like, defense, fault, whatever. Like, I mean, he's literally been radically, like, he has been brainwashed into thinking all of that was like, you made that up. Like, it was a figment. Like, y'all were just trying to cope with all the bad things that were happening. And I'm sure some part of him, like,
because ghosts can't possibly be real.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he was like gaslit into believing that none of what he experienced was true. And so much to the point where, he actually believed it himself. And then, like, as we saw from the doctor, even in the beginning, whenever he's like, and it was me holding the gun, and the doctor's like, well, this is you taking responsibility for what happened.
For what you did.
No longer, it's no longer your dad holding the gun. Or I'm assuming it was always the dad in the dream holding the gun.
It's the mirror.
It's an interesting parallel.
The mirror. It's
the mirror, like Beauty and the Beast. It's
walking, like, it's got a little arm.
Come here.
There's an interesting parallel to be drawn between the kind of washing of reality from the doctor's perspective and the mirror's altering of reality as well. Yeah. To say, you know, this is the human alteration of this weird in between world, whatever.
It's like two sides of the same coin, essentially, almost, you know?
Yeah.
And then you got the sister too, because she's like, no, this really happened. And the doctor's like, this happened. And the mirror's like, hold up, everybody. Let me do my thing.
Let me put my fingers in it.
Yeah, literally. Has Mason gotten sick yet and attacked mom?
I don't think so yet. But yeah, basically Kaylee is like, Dad wasn't a murderer. Dad wasn't this bad person. And she intends to prove that none of the people that he just described were guilty of their actions. And then this is where we get that she manually has to reset that kitchen timer to prevent the anchor from falling. And then basically saying, like, if we die, no matter what, the mirror will still be destroyed. Like, because it'll go off in 30 minutes anyways. Yeah. But then we're back with Dad in a flashback. And this is where he takes his Band-Aid off, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
The only note I had is that anchor is going through someone's head.
Yeah.
Like,
Called it.
Heck of a foreshadowing there. Cause
Definitely called it.
Because it definitely does go through someone's head. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry.
We're full of spoilers.
No,
we go full spoiler every time. But we still like to say spoiler alert.
And it's really crazy too, because like I just really wish, like, why wouldn't she like, hey, come over, all right, let's set the timer for 5 minutes, let's walk outside right now across the street, and we'll just and we'll go back and
get in the car, never
drive
turn
off
back.
Literally, let's drive away. But yeah, they don't do that. No, they don't at all. But Dad, he's in his office. What's he doing, Caitlin?
He takes off his Band-Aid because I guess it's causing some hindrance to him typing and stuff. But then as he goes and starts typing again, he realizes that the Band-Aid is back on his finger. And then he looks where he dropped the Band-Aid previously, and it is no longer there. And so he's like, what the hell? And so he starts trying to pull it off, and it's just not coming off. And so he gets the bright idea to grab a staple puller. And
because even if you were to like get that, it would just shred through that Band-Aid. It wouldn't pull it off.
He's not a great problem solver.
No. And he ends up ripping off his own nail with the staple puller, thinking that he's ripping off the Band-Aid. He's so nonchalant about it whenever he's just like, he goes, ow. Yeah. And then he's like, okay. Just goes back to doing shit. When he's just like destroyed his finger. Like he ripped off, you see the whole nail. Yeah. And it's just that gross. Squishy part underneath.
Just the squishy
It's just the squishy part. It's like whenever
gross.
Mr. Krabs is molting.
Oh,
that's exactly what
that's what it looks like. Yeah. And then like you said, it's just really because I guess the mirror also has just got its grips on him. He's not like, oh my God, what the fuck did I just do or whatever, you know? And it's also there's that, and then like the scene where she's got the Apple light bulb part, like it's kind of a bit unsettling sometimes. Even the final blow to her, they do really good at like the sounds, the sound engineering, like the squelching, like sounds wet a little bit,
and her like ragged breathing and stuff too, like and her squirming.
All of it. And then this is whenever like he's hearing voices, and then
and then he calls the kids down because he's like, I told y'all stop playing in here. Yeah. And then we see that there's a bunch of books like unfolded or opened and like leading up to the mirror, like a little pathway. And he's like, don't lie to me. Like I hear y'all playing in here at night. And
they're like, what the fuck?
They're like, we literally don't come in
here.
You
literally told us not to go in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happens multiple times, where they're like, you told us not to go there. And then he's like, I want y'all to come play video games in here later on. Right?
And they're like, what?
You literally just yelled at us the other night.
For being in here.
Yeah, when we weren't.
What do you want from us?
Yeah. And then my notes here kind of jumped a little bit. We're next after this.
I think they flash back to being in person, and we figure out that the thing feeds on plants and animals.
Yeah.
And
dog.
And she gets dog, and she places dog in front of the mirror and like covers, like puts a little shroud over it. And she's like explaining like all the plants are soon gonna die and it'll take dog and stuff like that.
D-O-G.
That's what she was calling him, right?
Yeah,
it was dog.
It's just dog. Yeah, she didn't name
Which that was
it.
a Boston Terrier, and it was like very cute little dog.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I was like, no, don't hurt the doggy.
Poor thing.
But. My parents had a dog named D-O-G.
D-O-G?
Yeah.
But it stood for something, didn't it?
No.
Oh, okay. Just
Dogs.
D-O-G.
It
Well,
was
for
named,
dog.
but like you would say D-O-G.
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 Yeah.
Oh, yeah. D-O-G.
D-O-G.
Like, it sounds kind of almost like
D-O-G. Like
D-O-G.
D-E-O-G-E-E.
Like, it sounds like
But it was just spelled dog.
like Atari, but D-O-G.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Dochi, a rapper. So that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had D-O-G, and then we had Dutchie once I was born.
Dutchie?
We had Dutchie 1 and Dutchie 2, which is like pretty weird of them to name a dog the same as the first dog.
Well, did you ever have a mama cat? Everybody has a mama cat. We had a mama cat. We had like 3 mama cats.
Mama cat.
Yeah. That's it.
Describe mama cat. What do you mean?
It's
Like
just
a mother cat or like?
Yeah,
it's
you would name
have
mama
so
cat.
many because she kept having babies.
Oh,
She just kept
okay,
having
I gotcha,
litters,
I gotcha.
and then because it was just one stray cat that ended up just living at our outside. Now she's our outside cat, and that's mama cat because she would always have babies, and then they just kind of would disperse everywhere.
Yeah, and go find homes or die.
Literally, probably.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Sometimes, somehow.
How
we
it
find our
all
way.
works. But yeah, so she's gonna sacrifice dog. That's her plan anyways. And then we flash back to after she says that it like feeds on plants and animals and stuff. Then we flash back to the parents, I think, and this is where we get the husband calling her a grotesque cow.
Yeah. They're arguing. We can see that they're like mirrors definitely doing its thing and creating dissension.
It's driving a wedge
them.
between the parents.
I had a
for
thought
sure.
here that maybe he actually didn't say grotesque cow.
Yeah.
Maybe there was like an already some reality alteration.
Like where she's hearing
And she
it.
hears
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I also thought that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm not
I-
100% sure, you know?
Yeah, he might have,
That makes
because I mean,
sense.
later on, he really does say like your snot-nosed little brother,
Yeah.
which was fucking rude. Like,
Yeah.
please
been
never
like-
talk to your children that way, people. But
But you're right. It could be altered. Like, and that's just what the mirror wanted her to hear. So
Yeah.
she would feel like that.
Planting seeds.
yeah, because we've already like talked like, and most women have. Like women naturally carry more fat in their lower abdominal area for the birthing process and stuff like that, and to protect all their uterus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so most women are self-conscious, like myself included, about that lower abdominal area. And we already got a little bit of her, especially with her C-section scar.
That plays heavily into it.
Yeah, talking about like, you know, I feel like my scar is more pronounced than normal, and like than it was 10 years ago whenever I had
The babies.
the babies. Yeah, and she's just, it's already kind of there, and then you know that mirror plays on it
Very much
in
so.
that instance, I think,
And it's
and then plays on it later whenever we have her whole scar scene.
Oh yeah, that's sick. It's really making her feel like crap, making her feel shitty. And especially when we're already planting those seeds of like the mirror even is like making it seem like he's having an affair and shit. And so that's not helping in any situation.
Yeah, like, because then she's thinking like, well, did he get like a new upgraded version, like not IKEA furniture version? He got, you know, something fancy, and so yeah, she's definitely, the mirror's playing on a lot of the natural like
insecurities
yeah,
a woman would have.
yeah.
You're
And-
beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But then this is where Mason, the dog, is losing his mind at the door of the office, and just like barking.
Oh yeah.
And so then she's like, you know what? You want in there so bad?
Go in there then.
Go in there. And
Yeah.
then locks him in, or doesn't intend to lock him in.
It just locks it. The door locks. Yeah.
Yeah. And she goes back, and we get a young like Kaylee and Tim sitting there in front of the door when Dad comes home, and he unlocks the door, and Mason's just gone. And then this is where they go back into like, this is where like reality really starts shifting and stuff, because they go back to like present day, and she says none of the animals were ever found, and Tim's like, the dog had probably, like, have you ever heard of parvo? Mm-hmm. Like, the dog probably had parvo. He was sick. That can kill plants. And then we got, that's what he said.
Oh, I think he said, like, what, something along the lines of, like, it makes them pee or
vomit. And, like, I think their pee, like, probably is, like, poisonous at that point. Yeah. And it kills plants and makes them get sick and vomiting, because he was like, remember how Mason was in his last days? Like, he was just throwing up everywhere. Like, we even saw the mom, like, scrubbing up something on the carpet, which I assumed was some sort of accident from Mason, the dog.
Yeah.
But then he was like, yeah, have you ever heard of parvo? And then we get, like, a flashback scene that's, like, the dad taking the dog to the vet and the mom getting a phone call saying, I don't think either of us are coming home. And then they're like, what's happening to Mason? And then she's like, he's grounded. And so then it's like, well, which reality was true?
True or not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought it was an interesting move to lock the dog in the office. Yeah. Because, like, I was thinking that dog's definitely tearing some stuff up in there.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And especially with how protective the dad is of the office. Like, yeah. To let the dog in there and stuff, it's like, what the hell?
Well, but maybe even if, like, there wasn't some sort of influence over her, maybe to let the dog in there, like, maybe the mirror was like, yeah, give me that dog, let me eat it. You know?
Yeah.
Come on, mom. Maybe even there's just a human nature part of that where she's like, my asshole's been a husband lately. You know what? Go in there and fuck everything up.
My asshole's been a husband.
Did you mean to say that? Because I love that.
No, like, that's, yeah. Like, maybe she's just thinking that also too. I'm like, you know what? To
kill two birds with one
stone. Yeah. Like, you're annoying. You know, go in there and whatever. Yeah. He can deal with you later when he finds you. Yeah. So and all also, of that's happening.
Sorry, parvo typically affects puppies.
Not like, older doggies?
Not older dogs.
I don't know much about parvo or stuff like that.
I've had a puppy who got parvo once, and it, like, they can get it from the yard.
Because it's when they eat
or
poop?
They can be born with it.
Poop?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
And I think they vaccinate for it. And have for decades now. So
yeah.
That's good.
So that's why you always got to go get your booster shots and little the, like, puppy package at the vet whenever they're puppies, because they vaccinate for parvo.
If you don't vaccine your kids, we don't give a shit. But vaccine your dogs. They're more important.
This is also where Tim starts talking about false memories due to fuzzy traces.
Oh, yeah. And he's basically working really hard to, like, discredit her own reality, or you know, granted, we know, like, damn, it's this, there is a fucked up evil mirror that she's having to deal with, but like, if let's say if it wasn't even that, like, he's laying it on thick. Even if it was, like, some person who's losing their mind, like, it's really almost, he's doing exactly to her what she's wanting to do with him, and just basically, like, burst her bubble, and, like, the way she's bursting his bubble, and, like, no, like, you're not saying this is all happening, you know? And they're both trying to do that to each other, and
because she's like, no, I know what I saw. Like, I sat in front of that door the moment mom locked him in there, and nothing ever went in, and then nothing came out. Until dad got home and unlocked the door. She's like, I know what I saw. And he's like, no, these fuzzy traces, like, it's a traumatic event to lose a pet. And that you probably, like, used that, your mind, like, overwrote that trauma and, like, created this other new memory for you. And so that was when I was like, okay,
what's real in my life? Like, what have I created to cover up trauma?
There's so many, like, things of trauma that I am like, did that actually happen? And then my brain starts being like, did it really happen? And then I'm like, dismiss it. You know, it did happen. Yeah. But, like, then I start feeling crazy. Yeah. I like gaslight myself. Yeah.
No, I feel you. It's really easy to do that to yourself as well. Especially when, you know, sometimes memories aren't full. Doesn't mean that they didn't happen. Sometimes your brain likes to paint another picture, 5 different pictures. Like, well, maybe that one, and maybe
Build
that's
a little
the story.
brick wall
Maybe
to
that's the real story.
cover it, and
Yeah.
then
Your
put
brain
some
doesn't
graffiti on it.
Yeah.
Your brain doesn't like missing space.
Yeah.
And so like you're always creating these links.
Filling the gaps.
One of the reasons like humans are just like have evolved so well is because we fill in the space. But
Yeah.
it's also a weakness.
Also why you can't rely on eyewitness testimonies.
Exactly.
Because we fill in what we want to think happened or
Yeah.
what we thought was real or our perception of what had happened.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. There's always 3 truths: your truth, my truth, and the actual truth.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Uh-huh.
But they're everybody's dead. And that's the end of the movie. I'm just kidding. No,
The dog
And that's
kills them all.
all.
Weird.
Yeah, the
The
dog
dog.
actually got the gun, was walking around like a little skinwalker.
Don't do it. Think of the children. It's like, nobody's fed me for 4 fucking days.
I got parvo.
Literally.
Parvo,
Take me to
a
the
man.
vet. Oh,
And I'm new in town.
Oh, poor amazing. All true things. Yes. But then where am I on my notes? What happens next?
Well, basically, yeah, he's saying there's a logical explanation for everything.
Yeah.
And this is where she makes the comment of, you had to go batshit to get out of there.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, mental illness runs in our family. Clearly, our dad and mom, like what happened to mom. And she's like, mental illness does not explain like why mom had no teeth and no hair and stuff.
It was chained up. Yeah.
And was chained up. Yeah. And like stuff when she was
Found before she died, the days before she died. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
and
not them arguing over what all started of the dog. And then meanwhile, that dog is the dog itself, right? Is like in the background, just like, and they're just like, shut up, dog.
yeah,
We're arguing.
she literally yells at dog at one point and it's like, shut up.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's locked in a cage.
He's literally sensing and picking up the evil in the house because their negative energy is like brooding and now feeding in. It's like the mirror is getting stronger as the night is progressing.
Yeah, it is.
essentially. Yeah.
And well, and then basically she's like, well, let's go look in there and see what's happening. And like she stops in front of the door and like is mid-sentence and like stops. And he's like, Kaylee, like what's going on?
Because he already let the dog out. Because the dog was let out. Yes.
Yeah.
All of this kind of, I feel like, starts happening even more so because he let the dog out.
Mm-hmm.
And even I think she comments later like, oh, I guess the dog was doing more for us than we thought. But like, I think shit was kind of being at bay for some reason because the dog was right in front of the mirror.
Mhm.
I don't know what it was. But yes, when she goes back into that room, we see that the cameras have been pointed to face each other.
Angled in towards one another.
There was something else.
All the plants have died.
Oh, and all the plants were dead. Yes.
Yeah. And then the plants had like moved too. And so like they
were rearranged a bit. Yes.
Yeah. And then they watch back the footage and they see that it was them all along.
Yeah.
Like that moved the cameras and the plants and they were
having all that argument.
Yeah, I liked that they were having the argument. All that discourse was happening while they're doing it.
Yeah.
And they weren't aware of it.
And they thought they were in the living room.
Now,
like,
the temperature of the home did raise 5 degrees, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. And typically, normally, whenever ghosts are involved, temperatures drop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was interesting that the temperatures were raising and getting higher.
And I love, unfortunately for him, I don't love it, honestly, poor guy, but now he's like having that aha, like, oh shit, like, wait, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he's like, this can't be like happening.
Because she's like, I don't remember doing that to you. And he's like,
and he's mortified while she's just like, yes, I'm not crazy. Yeah.
She got some validation.
She did. No, for sure.
And so, yeah, because I mean, hearing all that talk and stuff from the logical aspect coming from Tim, she probably was starting to think, well, fuck, am I crazy? Like none of the plants had died yet. Nothing had happened. Yeah. And so like once all the plants were dead and then she like goes out into the living room and sees that some of the plants have died in the living room as well. Mm-hmm. But like the electricity was still on and stuff like that. So she was like, there's a radius. Mm-hmm. It hasn't reached the whole house yet. So we have some areas like we could probably go upstairs and not be affected by the mirror or go outside. and stuff. And so this is where Tim is like, well, I am going to go outside and call my doctor because I'm going fucking crazy. And he does. And every time it's saying the call cannot be completed as dialed and stuff like that.
Can you imagine being Tim in the situation where they go back and watch the video? Like, he has spent years unpacking all of this.
Yeah.
And you go, like, you're about to see the moment of confirmation between what is reality in this situation. And he sees them moving it all. And like, that's not how he experienced it.
Yeah.
That would suck.
And especially in this next moment too, whenever he's going outside making the phone call. And then finally he gets waken up from that
like
fake idea. And she's
inside.
like, Tim, what are you doing? And he's like, what do you mean? How did I get in here? I was just outside. And she's like, no,
I watched you walk over here and sit down.
Yeah. And he's like, I tried to make a phone call. Like, what do you mean? How am I here?
Yeah.
And it's just all of his reality is like slipping.
And she's like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Basically. And then at this point, did we cut back to a memory? I think
we're back in childhood.
Yeah, because they're at the table with the mom, and this is where like they have like burnt toast and like soup, I guess.
I'm assuming it's some sort of soup or
tomato, like burnt grilled cheese and tomato soup or something like that.
Yeah, whatever. It did not look like a very hearty dinner like they were having beforehand.
And mom's got her wine, and she's just drinking at the table.
And she looks haggard.
She does. She looks like she's had
drunk and pissed.
Yeah.
And she starts to ask them, is this where she asks
about
Kaylee?
the woman
yeah,
in the
she's
office.
like, hey, have you seen that whore around? No, she's like, hey, have you seen that lady? And Kaylee is like, no, I haven't seen her, because I guess she's just not wanting to upset her mom.
Yeah.
Right. And then because she's obviously like, I don't think you're all right now. And then Tim is like, I've seen her.
Yeah, and Kaylee's like, shut the fuck up, Tim.
Real, right? And then mom's like, oh, where have you seen her? And she's like, I didn't see her in the office. I saw her on the stairs. And she's like, well, what was she doing? He's like, I don't know. I was so scared. I just like stayed in my room.
And he says, but I think she lives in the office.
And that's whenever mom decides to tell them to like go to their rooms or something like that, right? And then she ends up going to the office. And we get
this reminds me of an actual horror thing that happened to my brother when we were kids. We lived in North Carolina where I was born. We lived in this cabin that was over 100 years old. And our great Uncle Dick had passed away in the house from a brain aneurysm. And we had his pictures, and then like pictures of my papa and like everyone who had like served in the military. They were all like sepia toned photos in the hallway. And that's just kind of where they lived. And one time my brother Patrick was like, he asked my dad, and he was like, Daddy, why do the pictures on the walls talk to me at night?
Ooh,
that's creepy.
Yeah. And you
moved immediately.
They actually tore down the house because
immediately
they built a new house on the property.
So now that house is haunted.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
After that point, it was after the divorce. And so we never really lived there. But that house, it was pictures talking to him instead of mirrors. But that little instance reminded me of that.
That's freaky.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I'm glad you got out of there alive.
It was a beautiful house, though. It had a sunroom that was just gorgeous that ran the whole length of the house, and there was like hydrangea bushes outside, and then
that's cool.
It was beautiful. It's really
North
sad.
Carolina.
Yeah.
All the most beautiful houses, all the most haunted houses are beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that house was definitely haunted. But
not as haunted as this mirror.
It definitely didn't cause us to kill each other.
You sure?
No, I'm not.
You've been a ghost this whole time, walking the earth. And so she's in the room, and she's having a moment with this mirror in the office. She's having a moment with the mirror, right? Is this because this is where she tries to attack it? No.
Yeah. And she also found a page covered in the name
with
Marisol.
Yeah. Marisol.
Marisol.
Marisol. It does sound like aerosol, like
aerosol can.
Marisol. But yeah, she finds the little one name and then goes through the papers and sees like, Mr. Marisol all over it, whatever. Marisol. And so, yeah, she gets angry as any person probably would. And like, it's like a paperweight or something. It's like something she grabs off the table.
I think it's like a pin holder or something.
Something like that. And
because she's putting the pins back into the cup later.
And she tries to throw it at the mirror, but it like somehow deflects it and it just goes on the wall. And then we see the mirror do this like thing where it's like ominous, and then it just like sends like a blast of energy towards her.
It's like she attacked the mirror and it attacks back.
It retaliated.
It just like
it was like
she gets hit by some sort of force.
Yeah, and immediately she's just like, "Whoa, the fuck!" And just kind of looking at it, and then she sees herself in the mirror, which is really freaky because it's not reflecting like her same reflection. It's doing its own thing. And not everyone's worst nightmare, but one of mine, I'm always afraid that my reflection will start doing something differently. Yeah.
And just because of how many horror movies like we've seen and stuff. And I'm like, or that I'll see something behind me.
Or also too, it's just also really uncomfortable to stare at a mirror. Like if you stare at a mirror at yourself long enough, you do like, you start to be like even me, you start to be like, is that really me?
Yeah.
Is that you? Like, what's going on?
That's what I look like?
Too
yeah, like you kind of get into all of that like existential shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, she definitely has a moment with the mirror, and then she's just there looking at it. It's doing its thing. Is this the moment where we get the little?
Yeah, she starts looking at her scar in the mirror.
And it's like opened up in the reflection of the mirror. And the reflection of her in the mirror starts to like go in there and like open it up and starts digging in there. She's freaking out. She's in front of the mirror and is just kind of like probably scratching at herself or something.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
I was really afraid she was going to turn around and like
guts would just... I was like, this would be a real horror movie if we saw that, and I don't want to.
She did have those pins. She could have very easily like have been like doing something with that.
Yeah.
And then the kids come in, and that's whenever they're like, Mom, like, are you okay? And Timbo goes up to her, and then unfortunately she turns around and starts choking him out, which is
WWE.
Very WWE.
Yes.
Not cool if you're a kid and that's your mom. Probably really scary. And then we have, does she let go? Somehow he lets.
He says, "I put Kaylee helps."
Kaylee helps somehow.
Yeah, I think she like hits
pushes
her or pushes her or something.
Was it? No,
later on, she smacks her with the fucking golf club.
But it's not that right now. Yeah, but they're able to run off. They get upstairs just barely into the room, and that's whenever they're just like there, and Mom's banging on the door, and Dad thankfully comes home and is able to save them.
To an extent,
yeah. And chokes Mom out.
Yeah, puts her in that little sleeper hold.
And then tries to call like doctors or 911. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I heard 3 button beeps, so I assume 911.
Yeah, and he's like, I've got a situation here with my wife. It's an emergency. But we see that there's whispering going on the phone, and I think it said something like
the lights flicker too. So yeah, like the mirror interferes.
And it's basically just changing his course of action, probably controlling him and telling him like, we see what happens. He gets some stuff, like chains and the hammer, and then Kaylee comes out and she's like, what's happening? And he's like, Mom is sick. He's like, go to bed. He's like, go to bed. Go to bed. And we come to find out later on what he did, but it's the next day and he's talking to them and he's like, basically Mom is sick. She's in the room, and he's like, we don't want you to bother her at all. And even Kaylee's like, we, like, who's we? And then he doesn't acknowledge it. And he's just like, you know what? Y'all can come into the office and play video games. And that's pretty much like, that's it. Just leave Mom alone. Like, she's got problems.
Steer clear of her room. Don't go in there. And I also have a note that the camera at this point is showing different things than what's going on yet again. But I don't remember exactly what happened. If you do, or either of you.
Was it I think it's right here because we're back with the adult with Kaylee and Tim and right, and she's setting stuff she's fixing because the cameras were facing each other. That's right. And so she's putting them back. And when she's putting them back, her on the monitor, it's not her putting them back. It's like her like coming up to the camera
and looking at it,
doing something different. But it's
Tim's just looking at it.
He's not saying anything. No, he's just like, huh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was.
Like screens are turning on and lights are turning off in the background. And things like that happening.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, this is like, I would be running for the hills.
But he decides to stay and help, and they like get low light bulbs, and this is when they're like trying to change out light bulbs, but it's bleeding out even more heavily. The memories are starting to bleed even more heavily because she like sees the light bulb and he's standing there, but then it's like him as a kid and he's just looking at the mirror, but then he's gone, and then she goes to like fix the light bulb because she's brought back because the light bulb goes out. Yeah, and she goes up to try to change it out. He's not there
anymore.
Yeah. But I'm like, was he ever really there?
Yeah,
I don't think he was. I don't know where he's at, but I don't think he was even there to begin with.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. This part was one of the gnarliest scenes that I did remember as soon as like, because a timer had gone off and she was like, we need to eat, but we also need to change these light bulbs. So she hands him an apple, hands herself an apple. They're biting into the apples. Everything's great. And then she sets down the apple as the light bulb, like you just said, went out again.
Yeah.
And so she's changing the light bulb and sets the light bulb right down next to the apple, and immediately it triggered the memory for me, and I was like, oh,
what's about to happen?
Yikes, she's about to pick up that light bulb instead of an apple. And sure enough, she does, and we don't see what she grabs for, but we see her turn around, and then you hear the shatter of glass, and it's like,
it's pretty gnarly.
Shit. Yeah. It reminds me of Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, I was thinking that as soon as you didn't even have to say the name. I was literally thinking of that.
You know what it reminded me of? It's like when you ate a tortilla chip and it kind of gets stuck in your mouth the wrong way.
Yeah.
Worst feeling ever.
Mine would always, they'd get stuck in between the gap in my front tooth.
Or a gum.
Yeah.
Or when you eat a tortilla chip. Weird way to say it, but and it like it's like not.
Yeah, and you can feel it going down all
scratching your throat all the way down.
Yeah.
Worst thing ever. Yeah. And yeah, this is a really memorable scene because one, like glass in your mouth, just like biting your tongue or like biting your cheek hurts. So just imagine cutting it up with the glass, and then you're like, and she did a really good job. Killian, I forget.
Karen Gillan.
I'm mixing her name. Karen, of like making it look really believable, like she was eating the glass.
Yeah, and she did do a fantastic job in this scene.
Because even after when he comes up and we realize that thankfully it wasn't actually the glass bulb, it's just like playing tricks with her mind. I love how she's like still like that. Like it just seems really believable to me. I don't know.
Once we find out that she actually did bite into just the apple, but the mirror made her believe she bit into the light bulb.
Yeah, that would linger. Yeah. Like you're not just gonna be like, oh great, it was the apple. You'd be like, what is that?
I love how she's just like, we should stick together from now on.
Yeah. Which they should.
This should have been the thing from the get-go. But it's a horror movie. Everybody splits up. So that's just part of the rules.
And it doesn't want you to be eating.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
It wants you to do everything to yourself because that like adds to the delirium. It's like no eating, no sleeping, like just crazy. And this is whenever after that she ends up, does she see her mom? I think for some reason I have in my notes, she sees her mom in the room. Or something draws
my
her.
Next notes are that we're back with them as kids.
Oh, because she's a kid, Kaylee, and she sees her mom in the room. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's hearing like thudding upstairs, and
there's no food in the house.
There's no food in the fridge. Yeah, and they go to tell Dad, and she's like, Dad, there's no food. And he was like, what's that, princess? And then she's like, we need to go buy groceries. And he's like, that's on my list. And then she says something else, and he says it again. And that's on my list. And so she's like, yeah, fuck it. I'm going to go tell Mom. And so she goes into Mom's room. We can see there's a little bit of blood and some like a plate or something that's been shattered. And she walks into the room And it seems empty at first until we get to the other side of the bed and we see that the mom is chained to the wall.
Yeah.
Which is sick.
Horrifying because she like runs up on her and is chained up and like I guess she's been eating plates instead of food.
Yeah, I wonder it probably the mirror probably like
it's tricking her to think it's food.
And then she's like eating the plates and it's destroying
her mouth. Yeah.
First special visual effects on her mouth and everything. Her mouth was just utterly disgusting.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even like put my mind around what they had done to her mouth. Because otherwise attractive woman and reminded me of like Charlize Theron and Monster. And,
yeah. No, it probably was a mix of practical and like CGI or stuff for how gnarly it looked. Because it was, just imagine gross. Eating ceramic plates or whatever, glass plates, whatever it is. Yeah. And she
fuck you right up.
Is rightfully terrified of her mom, like, whoa, crap, and like is like, what the fuck? So she and brother Tim are like trying to take matters into their own hands. They're calling doctors through the phone book, but every time they get an answer from a doctor, it's the same answer and in the same voice. It's telling them like ask your father to call.
Yeah, have your father call.
Have your father call us. So they're picking up that like something isn't right here and that even like the phone is being manipulated. So Kaylee is able to go outside and she goes and grabs the neighbor, and the neighbor comes over and starts talking to the dad, but the dad is able to play it down as like Kaylee acting out because their mom is actually sick. Meanwhile, he has like blood on the door.
He's ripped every single nail off of his right hand, and he's like, got that.
We're fine.
There, and he's just like, yeah, we're fine.
Let's go to tea time next week.
Yeah, let's go to the golf course. And yeah, it was pretty gross. And then he just goes back into his office, and he's just cooped up there all day. And then at this point, this is where the reality like starts really bleeding, and they're like watching their childhood play out in front of them. But yeah, and
it all starts bleeding more so because Kaylee's walking through the house and see like she is seeing like her dad, and then this is whenever she's seeing like what she thinks are like the pieces of the plates that she saw her mom see, because she's putting up all the lights, and then she's walking through the house and she thinks she see all the pieces. Right before this, she does kick the pot of the plant, which is very important because it breaks, and then she's using her phone to like look and make sure and verify between what is real or not, because I guess this is the way of like the mirror can't manipulate the phone itself, the technology. So she's using that to help.
But it's well, I guess it's not manipulating the technology, because the cameras are still picking up on what they're doing. We also got she was in front of the mirror, and the timer was about to go off for the kitchen.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
At one point.
And she's like, almost got me.
Yeah. She was like, ooh.
Clever girl.
Yeah.
My Home Alone traps almost got me.
Yeah. Literally. And so that was really scary. And I think earlier.
Foreshadowing.
Before then, we had even seen that's later, whenever they're both outside and then they see themselves in front of the mirror. Yeah.
That's what draws them back in.
Yeah. But they're, she smashes one of the timers too. And,
because it's just going off.
And Tim is then we're back with Tim for a little bit. And I think Tim's younger self sees older Tim in the doorway, because his face, like, there's this, like,
it's puzzling.
Yeah. And like a look of recognition, but without it being him knowing. Yeah. Like it was like he actually saw someone standing there. And so I was like, is Tim seeing his older self? Like, that's pretty wild. They're slipping between realities. And then,
it makes you wonder if it's like, is it just, their perception that it's altering, or is it actually altering timelines? Yeah, that's where it started getting kind of really interesting to me on that front. But
yeah, I think it was altering some timelines, but I don't know. That's just what it seems like to me.
We'll have to call Mike
Flanagan.
Yeah,
I was
Flan.
Hey, listen up. explain the movie Oculus to us because we're fucking confused.
We're lost.
But yeah, then she smashes that plant and is like using that phone, like you said, and she's picked up one of the pieces of the ceramic pot and is like holding it which
I thought was weird too, because we're thinking like it's the plate, like she's getting tricked, right? But I was like, oh, that's pretty real because it's in her hand and she's holding it. But like all the other pieces on the floor weren't real, you know what I mean?
There, yeah. Which was wild.
It threw me off, yeah.
Then I guess does Marisol pop up and that's who she stabs?
It's her mom.
Yeah.
It's her mom pops up and then she's like, "What the fuck?" And it's just really
and it
quick.
was instinctive.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like
I don't even think it was necessarily even like I'm trying to kill something. I think it was just like I'm scared.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah,
And then I was honestly a little shocked that he went down from that. I was like,
yeah, I was like, he died so easily.
Yeah, and I was like, it's the side of the neck, not like the front of the neck.
I don't know.
It's
Just
just
could have
hit
gotten
one of those,
major artery,
a main vein. He just bled out immediately.
I have a note in here. Maybe y'all can make some sense of it because I don't remember it. It was around here, but I put crazy gum lady sucking daddy's neck. What was that?
Crazy gum lady sucking daddy's neck. Was it Marisol?
Yeah, I think so because I also have a note that says Marisol, the lady in the office, is creepy.
Yeah,
and like I think she was there, and we like saw them like making out.
But
and,
she's getting more grotesque looking.
Yeah, because at first she looked pretty normal.
Yeah,
but then like whenever he's like, oh shit, and like hides it, she like progressively turns more creepy.
And I think this is happening just before the sequence we just described.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild. No, it's fine because so much is literally
it was all
happening
it's happening so
these
fast
moments.
and everything. It's hard to keep track. But yeah, I think Marisol just was real creepy looking, and they were sucking.
They were sucking
neck. Yeah.
I just wanted to know what the heck I was writing, or if my reality was being altered.
Yeah. Like we said, my notes are. I had to like keep backtracking and stuff because I kept writing the wrong thing. It was really weird.
So Michael goes down and then she's like, it's not real. It's not real. And then Ted walks up and he's like, I definitely see a body there. And she's using the phone to kind of, oh, wait, it's not just yet. She's using the phone to see if the pieces around her are real. But then she notices that the pot next to her is real and Tim's looking over. And then
her phone starts ringing
from Michael, and then he looks at it, and they look at it, and she's like, she answers it, and it's him, and he's like, hey, just checking in, and she's like, everything's good, we're fine, and he's like, all right, I'll call you in an hour, and she's like, 50-50, it's him or not, right?
Yeah, because I think he didn't call on the hour too.
Yeah,
and I think she was like, it's not him.
And that's why too, she was already at this point where she's really confident. She's like, it's not real. It's not real. Those weren't real. But then that's when she notices that the pot that she did knock over, like those were real.
She's like, the plate's not real. The plate's not real, but it was part pottery. Of the pot.
Yeah. And then we use the camera to look at, and poor Michael's there dead.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And she's like,
really dead.
You know, obviously mortified by what she's done.
She's dead too.
And at this point, that's where Tim is like, you know what? Like, no, we got to get out of here. Like, we got to call the cops. We've got to go. They do easily get outside. Well, I mean, we don't. Who's to say they did or not?
If they ever actually made it outside.
Right. We do know the phone call was placed, but they might have not ever been outside.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, he called the police maybe just because I was like, I'm not sure if his phone call actually went through or if
it was like the demon whatever altering whatever state mirror.
And have you considered that maybe the significant other, the fiance, called before it went over there, and that's why the police actually showed up?
Oh yeah, maybe
that could be it.
Like he actually did follow orders.
Yeah,
like because she did say notify the authorities,
and then he just went to go
check himself. Yeah, that could definitely be true, and that. But they do later on say he called it in,
and then he did this.
Oh. And then he did this. Yeah.
But
so I think he does
jerk cops too. Anyway,
who knows?
Yeah.
Fast forwarding too much.
Right? They're outside and they place the call. They're like, okay, we're gonna get help. But then they notice that their bodies are in front of the mirror, and
all the electricity came back on, so
right.
the house like lights up.
And Tim is like, it's a trick, it's a trap for us to go back inside. But for some reason, she convinces him, or what is it? The reason that they go back inside?
I don't know. I know that they call again. They call again, and they say you're going to have your father call. Yeah. And it was the same voice from before. Yeah. So like because he was like, did I actually make that phone call or not? And then he tells her, we're going to have to get really, really brave.
That's when they go back inside. And they're like, we're going to try to smash it. And it's flashing back to the memory of the kids who are like, we're going to have to get really brave and smash it. Because they go to try to smash it with the golf clubs, but then they can't. And then we see that Dad is letting Mom off the leash. That the chains that he has her chained up on. And I thought he was going to shoot her then, like kill her.
Yeah, because he holds, because her. Like we see him loading the gun, and Kaylee as a child sees that and is like,
he's got a gun.
Or maybe it was Tim.
It was Tim.
Tim who saw it. And she runs back upstairs, or he runs back upstairs and tells her that. And then, then he goes, and so he's got that gun, and he like points it at her, like puts it under her chin, and then
but doesn't shoot her. She gets up, and it's like all spooky ooky, and she looks really menacing, but lets her go because I guess he's gonna use her as an attack dog for the rest of the movie. It's like Mom and Dad versus two kids essentially. Yeah. And he's got the gun. Janie's got a gun, and then Mom's just running around the house just terrorizing the children. And we have her attacking the kids, but they're in the restroom, and then we have adult. Like, it's so confusing. Then we have adult Kaylee and Tim in the restroom, but then she's sending the young one out, and she's like, "Just run down the stairs. I've got you," or vice versa somehow. And then
she's like, what are we going to do? We're going to head towards the stairs. Yeah. We're going to run down those stairs. Don't look back. Don't do nothing. Just, we're getting outside.
She's able to whack Mom and hold her off.
Because she opens the door. Yeah. And Tim successfully makes it down the stairs, but she doesn't. And then she runs into the parents' room, jumps out the second story window. Yeah. And then she is outside. She sees Marisol and someone else in the window, one of the other ghosts. Yeah, spirits. And then we have adult Tim getting shot at by his father. But as the shot goes off inside the house, it draws Kaylee back inside, because then Kaylee is adult. Kaylee, both of them. It's very confusing.
Sorry, guys. Whoever's listening to this, just fucking watch the movie.
I'm reading my notes and listening, and I'm still kind of lost.
Well, because young Kaylee and older Kaylee both are going into the house. Yeah. Because somehow kind of everything's working in real time at the same time from the past and the present. So
it's like the timelines are converging.
Yeah. And it's almost like the same things are happening, just one's older version and one's young version. Yeah, exactly. And they go. She goes inside, and that's whenever we have Mom running up and trying to strangle the younger Kaylee. And Tim's like, and she's still just like, what? and then she starts getting strangled by Mom, and then this is such a horrible scene because you can tell, I think the mom's humanity is starting to come through because she's realizing damn, I'm strangling my child, Kaylee, and then just in that moment, and I'm pretty sure because the mirror picks up on that, is like, you gotta go.
Shoots
her,
and he double taps as well,
triple taps.
Yeah, because once she rolls off of Kaylee,
shoots her one more time,
shoots her in the stomach, and then I think comes back and shoots her in the head.
Finished it off as she is looking at him one last time, and it does seem very much like the real her, not like the been possessed part of her. And then he shoots her, kills her, and then that's whenever we have. I don't know if it's necessarily the reality of what he's done or if Dad somehow is coming through. I don't know. But that's whenever they're all in the office and he's in front of the mirror and he's directing Tim to try to shoot him.
Yeah, and there's
maybe right before that something happened.
Yeah, so there's all the past spirits come out.
Oh yeah,
and that she talked about in the beginning, and so I was like, okay, it like claims your spirit after it kills you, and then like helps it. You end up helping.
You're like a
kill
henchman.
Other people. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Bagul.
Yeah, I saw that with the kids and how they would
what is that?
Do the killing?
Shutter? Sinister.
Yeah.
Not Shutter. Yeah, it reminded me of Sinister a little bit there.
It's reminding me of, you know what's funny? I told the same thing to Jaden. It reminded me of like Sinister and Smile, honestly, kind of mixed
like
together.
Combined.
Like a proximity curse situation where it's like it's passed to people in
Yeah.
a way, but then also the Sinister thing where it's like an Amityville where it's making other people do its bidding.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that for sure. But basically, adult Kaylee's watching her father go throughout the house now, but then she turns into a little girl again. And this is where they start attacking the mirror, but they're really with the golf clubs, and they're attacking either side of it. And then as adults, their father finds them, but then they turn into kids again, and their dad is about to shoot, but then he says like, I've seen the devil and he is me. And then like talking all this stuff while like glancing at the mirror. And then Timbo gets the gun and is like, stop it. And then dad is like, turns the gun on himself.
Yeah.
Well,
and helps him like pull the trigger.
Makes Tim pull the trigger, which I was like, if he would have just like explained this, like, and if people would have just listened, like, I don't feel like he should have been locked up. I mean, him saying the mirror made me do it, but like, if he was like, my dad helped me pull the trigger,
went psycho, killed mom, and I guess was so like guilt-ridden, had me like help him shoot him. Like, yeah. You're obviously a child, right? Like nobody's gonna think like, no, you did that on your own intent, I guess. I don't know. But it's really sad. He has to shoot his own dad, and this is how we find out how the crack happened, because him shooting his dad through it, and I guess the mirror wasn't really prepared for that happening.
Maybe it was like a Voldemort type situation where it was an act of love.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Or maybe because could be, or maybe because he was a conduit through the mirror, like shooting the dad itself. It's like injuring the mirror because he was now a part of the mirror. At that point, he was so like he was already so engraved into it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I had thought too. But I like the idea of it being an act of love too, because the last words from the dad were "run."
Yeah, and like
before
trying to
he
do
shot.
mercy.
Yeah.
And maybe too. Also, this is like another third theory. Maybe it's like the bullet passed through the dad. And so it was like the body of someone, and it wasn't like necessarily directly intended for the mirror, that the mirror wasn't like that I'm getting shot at. So it went through the dad and then hit the mirror itself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the dad like bumping on it or some metaphysical thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of things there. And then, so he's dead, unfortunately. And then this is where we get present day. Now, Timbo is with Kaylee. No, Kaylee is with her mom, right? Little Kaylee.
We get all the corpses coming up first, and then they open their mouths, and all the alarms are going off from their mouth, which I thought was very terrifying.
Yeah.
Because they all looked so creepy, and then they were just like, with those alarms coming out. And then this is where like we're time slipping again. And then young Kaylee sees her mom in the mirror. Or adult Kaylee does.
It's adult.
Someone sees.
It's young Kaylee first, but then it like turns into adult
Kaylee.
It's because it's young Kaylee who's getting hugged by her mother. But then, unfortunately, in the present time, Tim is like, I'm taking matters into my own hands, and like is like
at the same time, but can't see her there because his reality has been shifted.
Yeah, and lets the timer. Doesn't even let it go off. Like he does it to where he makes it go off, and then unfortunately we hear like this, and we then see that he ended up impaling Kaylee, who was in front of the mirror the whole time, and he just didn't see her, which really sucks. And then at the same time, like he's realizing what he did, and like it's playing over like, you know, them back in the day and when they were kids, and like how the cops showed up, and now cops are showing up, and she's like, remember the promise you made, like we will never forget. And then he's just looking at her and she's just dying, and she's just like, Kaylee, and she's just like
yeah.
And then yeah,
because the time is slipping like back and forth between, we've got the sirens coming both as children and as their adults, and we get
him being hauled away.
Yeah, Tim in handcuffs saying the same thing as he said when he was a kid, saying it was the mirror. It's the mirror. And this is where I wrote, I can't believe they're arresting a little kid like this.
Just totally heartless too. Like they're saying crap about him.
They're just like, okay, get in. Yeah. And then we're looking, adult Tim's looking after they've got him in the handcuffs and put him in the back of the car. He looks into the window, sees both of his parents, and then Kaylee is there too.
Yeah.
And then it just fucking ends.
That's it.
And I was like, damn, that's really it.
That's it. No happy ending whatsoever.
No.
She deserved it too.
Yeah, she did.
Hot take.
She got him in the shit, so she gets to suffer there forever in eternity. That's crazy. And the mirror will just continue.
The obsession just continues.
And the mirror will just continue to do what it does for whoever comes into it next, or however it gets sold.
Was there ever an Oculus 2?
No.
I did remember thinking whenever I first saw it, I was like, they left this open for a second one. Like easily. If they ever wanted to make a second one, they could.
You could come back to it.
Yeah.
It's pretty open-ended, and well, there could also be a movie where they give us like the backstory or more like origin of like how this,
Oculus Origins.
Literally, because we don't know anything about the mirror itself. Really, we know what it can do, but we don't know like why it does.
They could make like 43 movies, or one for each kill.
Literally.
Yeah.
Oh, you could. You really could.
Or like a limited series where like
every episode is
one of the family
version of it.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
That would be cool. I'd watch it. Mike Flanagan, if you're listening.
Do your thing.
Please make Oculus a series. I'd watch it. He's good at the series we've seen from all the Haunting of Hill House universe.
Oh yeah, I love those.
They're really good.
They're so good. But I think also part of it, the horror is knowing that it's still out there.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so maybe it's perfect to not make a second film continuing where like Tim comes back and defeats it or something, like, and avenges his whole family or something like that. Like the horror is knowing that it's still out there wreaking havoc.
The horror is that it's such a sad fucking tale.
Yeah.
Like literally, because nobody won. Like the mirror won, of course, but like the family died.
And the mirror framed Tim.
Literally Poor Tim is going
mirror
down.
Just does not like Tim.
No.
For something he couldn't even control or have any part of, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
But yeah, I when I first watched this movie and when it came out, I remember I didn't really like it, and I think it was because more or less I kind of have like, I don't like movies where things happen and then you find out at the end it was all a dream, and it was just kind of like, what's the point? I guess nothing happened after all, or was it really real or was it not? But this, and for some reason I remembered it more like that, but it does have it's not all that, like stuff did happen. So it's not like it was just a dream. So,
but it's hard to tell what is reality and what's not.
Yeah. So it's like, even like I guess in the end, the payoff for her biting that apple, like it messes with her psyche, and we get a more distraught character, of course, throughout the movie. But for me, I was kind of like, man, that really didn't happen. Like, that's kind of lame. Like, she should have been like, that really should have happened.
Yeah.
Like, but it's a cool scene nonetheless. But I just think for some reason back then, I think my mind couldn't appreciate or understand. I was just like, the back and forth of it all, because it's so elaborate and so heavily layered and going between like the past and the present. Upon this watch, I liked it significantly better. I thought like it was pretty interesting watching the way like even like the mom's physical, like everybody acted really well to me. I thought Tim did really good. I thought the dad did pretty good at being an asshole, and sister did good at like being really obsessive over trying to figure this out. And the mom, I really liked how the mom like really showed her range of like going from like normal and then like medium and then descent and then just like literally animalistic and just being fully controlled by the mirror. It's pretty sad, but it's really good in the way that everything is like, it's so sad because they made me feel like, man, this sucks for everybody. Like this is crappy.
Yeah.
I really liked those lights that she pulled up. I want lights like that.
Yeah. They remind me of like
camping lights. Like I
think it's like a lantern type thing.
I want a lantern like that. Anyway, that's just a little side thing.
Tell Andrew about that too.
I thought it's a really cool like concept of like haunted mirror, family. Really, like this movie could also be like it could have been like a limited series like his other stuff, like you said, and maybe we could have had more like history on like the other families. But even just this situation itself could have been a limited series and have 10 episodes on just this family, and like this whole situation, and
American Horror Story style.
Yeah, very much like that, and see how it plays out, because it's so deep in emotion and the horror element, and very much like it's very smart. Like it's just a really smart movie, honestly, now that I've watched it again. And I'm like, yeah, it was just too smart for me to appreciate back then. I was not, I guess, looking at it from a perspective of like how deep someone he literally took his time and was like this story and this, and then they go back and then that happened because of this. Like that takes a lot, so I really respect it. But I don't know. I want to say
it's okay to not like it, even knowing that. I think this is a good episode for you to be on, because his original take was that he didn't like it.
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah, and then I really loved it.
Awesome.
And me going in again, I still love it. And
I hate it less.
Not,
I hate it less.
You're not as sure how you feel.
Yeah.
So this is not normally. We disagree sometimes, but normally we're like, yeah, that was pretty good, or really no, bad. That was fucking awful. And it's not often that we get very wildly different.
Well, I like it more having spoken with y'all about it, because there is that depth. There are a couple things I think I would have liked more about it. Yeah. And I think it comes down to the length of the movie, not having enough time to develop the characters.
Yeah.
And but I really like the premise. I think you can really see Mike Flanagan's, I almost called him Mike Fingerprint. Mike Flanagan's fingerprints on it.
Yeah.
Especially when you start looking at like the eccentricities and complexities of the time slipping back and forth.
Yeah.
That's a very Flanagan move. There was a lot that I really enjoyed about it. There were some things like I just felt a little like I just wanted more out of it. So
that's what I was about to say.
But as far as an enjoyable movie, I definitely see the merits in enjoying it, and I can see why you'd love it as well.
Yeah.
I almost kind of want even more information of like, or kind of more the dog. Like it didn't need to eat the dog this time. And like maybe the dog going away was beneficial to the mirror, or was it not beneficial to the mirror this time?
The dog aspect was a little like, okay, why? Like I understand that it feeds on living things, and those are like, and maybe they did it because in most paranormal movies, like there's always a dog that, especially whenever it is like paranormal entities. It has to bark and be like, trust your pets. It's the first thing that is an indication that something's wrong.
And everybody always ignores the pet, and then they end up dead.
Yes.
Or run away.
Listen to your dog.
Yeah. And so like, I think maybe that's why they placed the dog in there and like had that aspect, but it is a little undeveloped in that like sense of like, why was the dog necessary? Like, why did you have to bring in another dog? And I mean, I understand you're testing your theory, but like then the dog gets let go and then shit still hits the fan anyways.
Yeah.
Which is like, what?
In your defense as a lover of this movie, I would say that it's totally cool and encouraged, in my view, to have unanswered questions at the end of a movie. Like, I love that.
Yeah, I do. I am a fan of that. And I do I like movies where everything was a dream and then it makes you question everything. Like, I enjoy being left in the dark.
And on the other, I'm jumping across the aisles here. Yeah. I'm the guest. I can do that, right? On the other hand,
we need a mediator.
I would have liked more. This is crazy sounding, but it seemed like they were towing the line in between answering questions and not answering them. Right. And I wanted them to commit to one. Like, I'm not a movie director, but I was thinking this movie would have been really neat if the question that they left unanswered was it the mirror or not? As opposed to,
or it's our human nature.
Exactly. Was it just Tim losing it again? You know, that I thought that would have been a neat idea.
That would have been
Maybe
fun.
Tim was just schizophrenic this whole time.
It could have been like, because they set that tone. But anyway, I enjoyed it. I would give it kind of a middle.
So our boo ratings are like 0 to 5 boos, and I say for me this would probably be like a 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not horrible. Like I probably was ready to go in and thinking like this is gonna be like a 1 or a 2 for me, but yeah, I think if anything, and I can't really necessarily hate a movie for leaving me for wanting more. Like that's a good thing. So because the same thing, like I want more info and backstory on the mirror and on more character development. Like because even to me, I'm like, how was Tim in there for 10 fucking years?
Yeah,
like I'm like
I did think that.
I'm like, wouldn't like that took that long? Like damn, like it's really fucked up. Like like maybe it wouldn't have been like a year or two, and he would have released on good behavior. And then like I don't know, I don't know.
But
how
maybe
that
it's because, but like Kaylee was in the foster system. Maybe they didn't want to release him into the foster system with the potential of him being a murderer, and like maybe it was like an actual sentence that like
even had to carry out.
Yeah,
I think Kaylee specifically needed more depth, and I think she was a little bit one dimensional. I think the actress herself knocked it out of the park. I think the character was a little one dimensional in that she was kind of just had the one motive the whole time.
Yeah, she was very laser focused.
Yeah, and I think if we saw a couple more scenes of her relationship being developed with her fiance, because like, what fiance is gonna fall in love with somebody who's just that obsessive over their past?
Yeah,
that's true.
But I sound like I hate it.
No, those are valid observations and questions to have.
Yeah.
But also then it comes into like logic police, and these are movies, and like they gotta,
and you've got an hour and a half to give somebody to eat some popcorn and enjoy themselves.
To escape, because most movies could literally and especially horror movies could be solved in like 5 minutes if you're just like, let's either not do that or do this.
Bury the mirror just like they did in Jumanji. That solves it for like 50 years or so.
It. There you go. It's no longer your problem, it's someone else's problem.
Exactly. Well, do y'all want some fun facts before we get to the rest of our boo ratings?
Yes, please.
Let's see. Had director Mike Flanagan agreed to film Oculus in the found footage genre, a number of studios would have backed it as early as 2006. However, Flanagan refused. I do think he had a little bit of a nod to the found footage genre with the cameras being set up and in place and like getting some of the film footage, like,
and that's very found footage movie, like whenever you're setting cameras up and you're like and testing 1, 2, 3 and explaining why we're doing this.
Like they had a reason for the camera being there. So I think he probably was like, fuck it, I'll put in a little nod. But found footage is not for everybody. And I guess it wasn't for Flanagan. Let's see. This, I think, is really cool. Director Mike Flanagan has included the Oculus mirror as an Easter egg in most of his movies and TV shows. It's in the basement of Ouija, Origin of Evil, the headboard of Gerald's Game, which I forgot that he did Gerald's Game.
I've heard that's good. I've never seen it.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, I like it.
It's wild. Again, very much like what is happening.
I didn't realize that was Mike Flanagan.
Me neither, until I was looking up earlier this morning, looking at what other things he had done.
And also a Stephen King book, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's done
it's based
2.
On Stephen King. And then let's see, it's The Walls and The Haunting of Hill House. I guess there's a nod to the Oculus mirror. And then the Overlook Hotel in Dr. Sleep has the mirror somewhere in it. So I would be curious to go back and rewatch all these things, just looking for the Oculus mirror or the semblance of it.
In the MFU, the Mike Flanagan universe.
Yeah.
Literally.
This was Karen Gillan's first American role because she is a
cool.
British actress. And like I said, she was in...
She did good. Good for her.
Yeah, because she was in Doctor Who, which is a British television show.
Was she like a lead character or like a...
Yeah, she was...
Doctor Who?
No, she didn't play the Doctor, but she played the Doctor's companion.
They only just came out with the girl Doctor Who like a year ago.
The first female Doctor just happened. And now it's a gay Doctor.
Oh, really? Breaking barriers.
Yep.
Next year it's going to be... Don't say it, you'll get canceled.
A cat.
Ghost Doctor.
Doctor.
Supernatural barriers being crossed.
Yeah. Yes. But let's see. Oh, cool. Karen Gillan was the first choice to play Kaylee, as Mike Flanagan was a big fan of her work in Doctor Who.
Hey.
And they filmed this movie in 24 days.
I can see that.
I mean, it's only in a house, right? Only basically them two for the most of it.
Not many sets and stuff. And just...
And even there's not that many like... Even like the Apple scene or whatever, there's not that many like scenes where there's like deaths or like bloody stuff going on. Really,
for like practical
it's just
effects
a bunch
and stuff.
Of, like,
it's just them and their makeup, and they just
ghosty scares.
Yeah,
and jump scares. Yeah, and building a lot of tension. That's cool. No, that's really cool because they really 24 days. That's a really fast turnaround for a movie. I wonder how long it like did in editing and all that. Like they were like, we made this movie in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like production, edit, all.
Do you have the what it cost to make the movie in there? You don't have to find that. I was just curious. Like,
no, that's usually
that
attached.
short of a...
It's usually attached somewhere real fast if we just go to like the IMDb or the wiki.
IMDb.
It was made with, I got you.
Okay, great.
$5 million was the budget.
That's super low for...
And it made $44 million. So it profited pretty well.
There we go.
Yeah.
Way to go, Mike.
For a horror movie and for production companies, WWE Studios, you know, I guess that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Hold on. I'm going to the filmography. So, was there a wrestler in this movie that we just didn't know about? Because I guess apparently they fund movies that the wrestlers are in. The Scorpion King, The Raw, like the Walking Tall, See No Evil, That's Kane.
I wonder if,
if
there was one like a producer or something.
Maybe.
Why is Oculus a WWE
Steve
film?
Austin is the Condemned. Like they're all their wrestlers. Randy Orton.
Okay.
Triple H.
The item was recovered from the Levesque estate, a reference to WWE wrestler Triple H, whose real name was Paul Michael Levesque.
But why? But like, why?
They needed, you know what? There was like 6 opening credit things, like production studios, and they probably needed like, you know, another $250,000 or something.
And they were like, if y'all give us this much,
we'll mention Triple H.
No, but yeah, if you look at like all the movies that they're related to, if there's anything, if they're not like WWE film things, like they're movies that they're wrestlers.
So Triple H is in the Mike Flanagan universe, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. My sister will love to hear that.
Yeah, I'll have to tell my friend Ryan. He loves wrestling. And he'll probably think that's cool. But yeah, so that is Oculus. What if you had to give it, or do you want to go last? Do you want to go after me, or
I'll go first.
Okay.
That way, we can end on a
little sandwich
on a credibility. Yeah, you have more credibility as a host. I originally had written 3. After discussing it with y'all, I realized there was more things that I enjoyed about it than I had previously thought immediately after. So I did 3.5 as well. I think 3.5 is a fair score from my perspective.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about the film in general, or like favorite scene, or? I enjoyed the mirror within. I love mirror like logistics
So like filming in front of a mirror means there's a lot of like offhand shots and things like that.
Yeah.
I love how they handled that. I love the hugging across the mirrors and things like that.
Yeah, that was
cool. Overall, I think there's a lot of cool effects. I love the simplicity of the film as far as how it's filmed. I think a lot about the background and how things are made. So there's a lot of really great stuff. I don't know about a favorite scene. Maybe the apple.
I'd have to say that's one of my favorite scenes.
That was a nice little horror.
It sticks with you.
Yeah.
What stuck with me is when they're looking at the video playback of the thing falling on her, and she's just like,
yeah.
They foreshadowed hard with that. Anchor. I was thinking it's gonna be one of them. So
because like definitely like whenever they're showing the two of them in front of the mirror and stuff facing it, and like you're like, oh god, that little yacht anchor can come down at any time and kill them, and
terrifying.
There was a lot of foreshadowing for sure.
5.
I think I'll give it a 5.
Hey, I like it.
I thought everything in this film was really good. I enjoyed all the acting. I thought Karen Gillan did a great job playing somebody who was super obsessed and like laser focused and hyper focused. I think personally, I didn't need much more character development from her. Like, I just assumed that this was part of like, now that she finally found the mirror, it kind of like kickstarted her obsession again. Like maybe that she wasn't like, she was always searching for it, but like maybe that was how her fiance came to actually fall in love with her, was like because like, you know, she wasn't hyper focused on it at that time, but like was still always it was in the back of her mind searching for it, but she was able to live a normal life. Otherwise,
that's why she chose the profession she chose, and like everything.
And so like it led her and guided her throughout her life, but I don't know if it like always was that. I just kind of I made like my own backstory for her, I guess, where she like wasn't always so
obsessed with it, or
it
wasn't at the forefront essentially.
Yeah. And so for me, I thought like, I think she just did a great job. Like, cause then I still got some like little notes of her like caring for her brother, and like in the hug that they shared whenever he first gets out, like there's a lot of emotion in it. And so I was like, oh, she's like a good big sister. But then like, you know, this thing did kill her parents. And if something killed my parents, like I would probably not be able to move past that really well either. So to me, like I thought it all kind of made sense. And I thought like the guy who played Tim did a really great job as well. The dad, like he did play this like really good descent absorbed, like getting absorbed into this mirror, and did a great job of like I just thought all the acting was really good. From the mother, like you said, her descent into animalistic tendencies. And I thought that the idea of being manipulated by an antique as an owner of many antiques was rather fascinating and terrifying. It did have me a little bit like afterwards I like went into the bathroom and was like walked past my mirror, and I was like,
no.
Ugh. And then I started thinking about my antique mirror and was like, oh God, like
get some sage.
Have I fucked up? And like, this was one of the first times like I was actually afraid of like an antique, and one in particular. Like you always see like antiques are haunted and stuff like that. And, you know, I've got some haunted dolls and things, and but that was one of the first times where I like laser pointed kind of to a specific antique that I have, and like was a little bit afraid of it. It made me scared.
Can't be too safe.
I thought it did a great job. I thought it like did what it intended to do, which was scare me, and had me thinking about it after the movie was done. Because normally I'd turn off a horror movie and I'm like,
that's done.
Okay, it's done. Now on to different parts of my life. And this time it actually lingered in the back of my mind, and I was like, ooh, I had to feel like there was someone behind me watching me, or something. And so I was scared.
That's how Mungo made me feel. like Mungo for some reason.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that scary, but like it
made
gave
you feel
me
like
that
someone was watching
eerie,
you.
dreadful feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And but yeah, I thought they did a fantastic job story-wise. I liked all the slipping in between reality and the questioning of what in the fuck is actually happening. I thought that was all super good. I just appreciate the film and what it stood for and what it did. I remember really liking this film whenever I first saw it, and I still watched it again today and was like,
good.
I honestly was expecting to dislike it a little bit.
Right.
Because knowing of you, like not liking it. And I was like, oh, maybe I just remembered this completely wrong.
Right.
Kind of thing. And then with watching it again, I was like, no, I still like this. I still think it's really cool. I was a super huge fan of Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor, but Haunting of Hill House was like, in particular, like that one really freaked me out. It also made me have panic attacks. I had to like pause Haunting of Hill House a few times because it was like,
freaked out.
Yeah, like it was like triggering some things in me that it was just like, ugh, like it was making me freak out.
Yeah.
And so, I be honest, I haven't watched like Midnight Mass and stuff.
Ooh.
I've been wanting to.
It's been one of my favorites I've watched of anything horror genre, and there's a really great kind of like disposition or deposition type situation happening between these two characters that are discussing religion, and it just ties so beautifully into the story, and just it's by all means.
I've heard lots of great
it's really
things.
scary, to be honest with you. I think it's more character driven and development.
It's honestly a beautiful series.
Yeah.
And like not a lot of people do that in horror, so I would 100% recommend that.
It's more or less, it's kind of more of a commentary on like overzealous and like religion and like overzealous people and like that kind of stuff.
And it felt like
the more
really
of like
good
the horror of real life.
Yeah, because
100%.
Whenever it came out, I remember the trailer for it was very reminiscent of what was happening in real life too at the time, with like politically and people being supercharged one way or the other. And so
Kate Siegel kills it in that as well.
Yeah. I'll definitely have to watch it. It's always been on my like list of things to watch.
Perfect time to watch.
Yeah. I'll have to actually bust it out and
I'd say like even like the horror element part of it is like more like not even horror. It's like giving sci-fi almost. I would say in a bit
leading fantasy
a bit, yeah, more or less. But
I think saying any more might get into spoiler territory.
Okay, I'll just watch it.
Yeah,
but so I'm a big fan of what Mike Flanagan has done. I love Gerald's Game. Never saw Ouija.
Ouija. You sound like Trump. He's trying to like Trump when he was. I never seen a Ouija.
I've never seen a Ouija board.
China. Ouija. A Ouija. I've had the best Ouija board of all. The best Ouija board. You should have seen it. Then they took it away from me. I was stolen.
That was good. That was really good. But yeah. So I think for me it's just a 5. I think it was
just a 5.
Just a 5.
Just a 5 out of 5.
Just a 5. It was perfect.
But a 5 and a 3.5 plus a
3.5
make a 4.5, right?
No, I'd say like a 4.
I got it.
2 3.5s really lowers that. I'd say probably a 4.
It's 9.6.
Damn, this is a good movie.
The math does not lie. Stop.
This movie got even better than our normal rating
twice
system.
As good as the normal ratings.
The more I go, the higher the number gets.
So 7. What's 7 plus 5? 12.
It's probably
divided by 3. So it's a 4 on average.
It's like a 4.
Yeah, I would think a 4.
I think 4.
I'm liking 9.6.
9.6.
The math doesn't lie. You were right.
It was actually way better than we thought it was.
It was all altered reality.
The mirror says
did
10.
That.
Yeah, the mirror says 10.
The mirror said, yeah. It's all the mirror.
That's funny. Well,
but yeah, as always,
we're in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio. They take really good care of us and allow us the opportunity to provide these horror-tastic shows to you guys. And if y'all have chances to check out any of their other shows, there's so many, probably something for any of your other interests and hobbies, and like literally all kinds of, there was like over 150 something podcasts I think last time I heard. So I think there's so many more now. But you can check those all out at roguemedianetwork.com.
That's right. And if you want to listen to us or any of those other amazing podcasts, you can do so on a slew of podcasting platforms, but the biggest two would be
Apple
and also Spotify. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then if you want to reach out to us, let us know your thoughts on Oculus. If you thought it was a great film, if you thought it was subpar, if you hated it and didn't gain any more liking from it from hearing our little discussion on it, reach out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at BOOBAES, because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes. That's right. And then if you want to also find Thurman and everything, you want to go ahead and plug all your stuff now?
So again, my band is called The Fox and the Crow. We have socials on all your standards, Instagram, all that. Normally at The Fox and the Crow Official. And we just released a single called Deer Stand. And if you like spooky stuff, if you like storytelling, it's right up that alley.
It was very like
it's storytelling.
Wove a story.
Yeah. And we have an album we released last fall called Amerigo. If you like these kinds of stories, you might listen to Breath and Leaves. That's a really nice little song, and it's really great. And then we've got another single coming out on November 8th called Swoon, and then an EP in December. So
that's exciting.
Nice.
Go
Lots
follow
of
us.
It's all rolling out.
Yeah,
we'll post his socials on our Instagram too, so that way you can easily find
and check it out
them
and give a listen.
I've got a link tree. That might be the easy way to do it.
Okay. Yeah. That's
it's like
so much
not
more
my first
than
rodeo.
we have.
No, that's really cool.
But yeah, and the song is good. Deer Stand, I listened to it, and you can find The Fox and the Crow on Spotify as well. But which the link tree's in your Spotify bio or Instagram bio, right?
Yeah, it's on our Instagram bio. You can listen wherever you want to listen.
All the places.
Yeah, it's even on Tidal,
Spotify,
Deezer,
Pornhub.
No, not there yet. They won't I'm too scared to take my pants off.
Haven't sold your soul just yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet. That's awesome though. But yes, let's be sure to check them out. And what else are we checking out? Is that it? Got anything else to plug?
I don't have anything else to plug right now. But
if you're in Dallas, go shop Love Lady.
That's right. Yeah. If you're in Dallas, come shop in my store. And I think that is all.
So until next time.
Until next time, you guys.
Bye, baes.
Bye, baes. BooBaes.
BooBaes.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.